All right.
Yeah, and everybody's got to click got it when it says this meeting is being recorded by the host or participant.
Oh, okay.
You should have gotten a
All right.
notice.
We're recording.
But now you've acknowledged that it's being recorded.
You've agreed to be recorded.
That's
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And you know, when it started doing that was when they started using Zoom in a court of law. during the
Oh, I
pandemic.
bet. I bet. All right, so we will get started with introductions, and then while we're doing the introduction, what I like to get people to do is if you can kind of sort of say what you would like to get out of the workshop, because even though we kind of have an agenda here that we sort of loosely follow, this is more for clients to kind of be able to use outside of this meeting and use for their needs. But we want to make sure that this meeting is being used for what we need, what your needs are, and what you need to get out of it.
About a break, right?
Sure. Yeah, Mardi Gras is coming up.
You gotta watch it. Troublemakers.
That's right.
Oh, not 2 o'clock in the morning. We stayed in the
We got a lot of side jokes going on here in person, so sorry. So I do actually have had one or two people who've emailed me in advance and kind of already given me some things that they would like to hear about, talk about. So we kind of have, so I'm trying to make notes on that when we do the intros, we'll talk about what is it that you want to get out of it, and then we'll then we'll go from there. So I'll get started and we'll kind of go around the room. I'm Penny, and with Dynamic Dragon Boat Racing, and I've been doing this for 18 years this year. Yeah. And so I sometimes pick up on little tips that help. So and then before that, I was in nonprofit fundraising myself, and so I know what it's like to be in your shoes. I was in development as well, and then before that, I was a newspaper reporter, so I kind of got to see things from that side of that point of view too. So I can kind of help answer questions. So, and Lynn's here because she's been to races and can also lend support too. So, and I know she probably doesn't want to do that. You can do the intro. Easy.
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay. Lynn doesn't want to do her intro. Chris. Yeah, but she's like, I'm good. Chris, you got to unmute.
I'm going to unmute. All right. So I'm Chris Paling. I'm the other half of Dynamic. I'm here to help you guys out. I've been about 2 or 3 years behind Penny in this sport. So I guess I'm pushing about 15 myself. So I came out of construction and manufacturing, and well, here I am. I fix everything and get you guys to the job site or to the venues and try to get everything all taken care of and square away with most of the safety personnel. So yeah, that's who I am. Yeah.
Good job. You guys get to hear being this adventure to Fort Walton Beach. We've got quite a few people interested in coming over there, and so I'm here to learn about it.
And I'm Peggy Brockman. I'm the executive director of Bring Hope Now with United for a Good Cause. We're a peer-to-peer suicide prevention service in our region of Northwest Florida. And so we are looking to bring the Dragon Boat races over as our annual fundraiser in Okaloosa County, hopefully this year or by next spring. And so, like Kathy said, we're here to just learn anything and everything we can from all of you who have been doing it so that we can move forward with this. So we're excited about it.
Who's next? I can't hear anybody.
Okay, I'm Mignon Bouchon with United Way of South Mississippi, and we are hosting this meeting today. Yay! This is our 8th annual Dragon Boat Festival.
Wow, isn't that crazy?
I know. We were back and forth the year that we had to cancel COVID. I'm like, we're counting it. I mean, we went through the motions, we were doing, I'm like, that got canceled. We still did a lot of the work leading up to it. So we're counting it as
Oh,
this is our 8th year.
Yeah, because you raised money that year, a lot of money,
We
actually.
did. We did. So, yeah, so I've been working with Penny and Chris and for those 8 years. Oh, yeah. And we love it. It's one of our favorite events. And my goal is to get 30 teams this year. We run around 22, 23.
Yeah, you're close.
So that's our goal, is to get 30 this year.
We're gonna think you're ready for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. exactly.
All right.
All right, Sharon, do you want to do your intro?
Sure. My name is Sharon. I'm from Garrett County, Maryland. I'm on the board for the Dove Center in Garrett County, which is a domestic violence and sexual assault resource center. Guys hear me? I see your lights are flashing and stuff.
I know.
So this is last year, our organization, the Dove Center, we were newbies. It was our first time pulling off the event. It was a fabulous event. You know, we found our way through not knowing what we were doing, and Penny and her team did an outstanding job at supporting us. I feel like we're off to a good start this year because we learned so much, and you know, we've got a list of things we want to do better. And I joined this call really just to listen and learn for something I may not have thought of myself.
Yeah.
So,
And you got to tell them about the Rotary fries at some point.
yeah, we have great Rotary fries here. And
Oh, gosh.
actually, I have to confess, I'm not a fry person. But I
Oh.
know the folks love the Rotary fries. If you got a Rotary fry truck, you got people.
I'll tell you about the Rotary fries. They're fresh fries, and they sold them as a vendor there, and the line was packed all day long. It
So
was-
is it like,
That's one reason I'm not a fry fan. I don't have the patience to stand in line.
It's the best fries you've ever had, I swear. It was good.
it's like
Sharon, aren't you part of the Rotary?
No, just fries.
Um,
No, Sharon is not part of the Rotary. She's on the board of the Rotary comes as a vendor and does it, but she's part of the, she should be able to, they did let me cut line that day.
I don't
But-
care who you are, they don't want anybody cutting the line anywhere.
I'm not sure it came through clearly in the beginning, but the Dove Center
Yeah,
is a
go ahead and tell 'em.
is a domestic violence and sexual assault resource center. And, you know, I've been involved with them. I don't even know how many years now. I'm going to guess and say maybe 12, maybe a little longer, but it's a great cause and we got great people trying to
Okay.
support that.
And I can tell you, I was only in town for 4 days or whatever, and I already saw the how much work they do and how amazing it is there to the community and what an impact it is on the community. just
We
for-
have
Yeah.
a shelter where for women and children. They can stay, I believe it's up to 3 months, but we've also expanded and now provide transitional housing. So if a mom and her kids, you know, they're not quite ready, maybe they didn't have the simple skills that are really important to live on your own, like grocery shopping, doing a budget, then they can switch over to transitional housing for a longer period of time. That way they still have access to any counseling they need and such. So we've really grown a lot, and the money's really important. And this is like the best fundraiser we have fell into in a long time.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
The Dragon Boat thing or
Yeah.
Dove?
Last year was the first year.
Yeah, last year was our first year and we did, I mean, it was a little stressful pulling it together on the fly like I felt we did, but it came off great.
Yeah.
And I think people already excited, like, I got a meeting this week, but I'm ready to get this stuff out, you know, online. People are always already asking me, can I sign up for a boat again? You know, we have set a date, so that's straightened out with Oakland Town Council and such.
How much money did you raise your first year?
About 20,000.
Wow.
Not bad.
That
That's-
was after our expenses, any expenses we had. So that was pretty darn good for a fundraiser. We do have one other major fundraiser that we just came out of the end of November. But that's a, indoor fundraiser. It's a lot of people. So that had been put on hold for at least 2 years, maybe 3. I can't even count back then anymore. But, so that was a blessing that this year we actually had 2 fundraisers come in, and we need that to continue to grow as quickly as we are.
I have to say this, another neat thing about the Dove Center that I heard while I was there with the transitional housing, they also have a kennel there for their pets, because a lot of times when women, this was really neat, I thought, a lot of times when women leave, they're afraid to leave because they don't want to leave their pet with the abuser. And so now they can feel safe and be fine to leave and bring their pet with them. I thought that was a really neat thing. That's a little bit of an aside, but I thought it was neat.
That's really important
Yeah,
to
mental health.
many. It is.
That's true. It does help with the mental.
It's me.
Whoops.
Can I talk? I have to unmute myself to talk, right?
I think I have to turn mine off, my sound off for you to talk. So you go ahead, go ahead.
Sharon, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. We have a shelter down here in Mississippi also, and I was just curious of hearing about yours, and I love the pet part. We support a therapeutic school for the children who have been involved in domestic abuse or witnessed it, to help them transition into a regular school setting. So I don't know if that was
Pretty
something
cool.
that y'all do also.
Yeah. This past summer, we actually did a camp. I think it was called the Calmness Camp. And it was for, we opened it up to kids in the community, but it was initially really created to help kids who have families going through trauma at the moment. But that was a huge success as well. And they did have to limit the number of children that participated, and hopefully that will grow next year also a bit.
Yeah.
So not the same as what you're doing, but almost close, similar. Yeah.
One more quick thing about the Dove Center and then we'll move on. I heard from Heather already that you have I believe a sponsor already for the
We
Dragon
do.
Boat Festival. So I
Yeah.
mean, they've already got I guess your big sponsor is already on board.
One of them. We hope
Oh,
to
one
have
of them.
more big ones, but you can never have too many sponsors if you ask
Oh,
me.
Right.
yeah. And I would
agree.
go for that realty company if they haven't already committed, because they really should sponsor.
Yeah, yeah.
But hopefully. Okay.
I have a feeling, since we do plan to open registration much earlier than we did last year, that quickly we're gonna, be filled up.
Yeah.
But you know what else really helped us? And this was an absolute godsend. At every package I sent out, captain's package to different groups, I said, please pray for good weather. And I stressed that over and over. I know people got sick of me saying, pray for good weather. And everyone did. And we had great weather.
It was a perfect day.
That really, I believe, really contributes to your success of this event.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
don't want to come out in a thunderstorm. So, if you're not a crazy prayer like me, you better learn to be one.
It's funny. Funny. All right, one more, Jesus.
Good morning, everybody. Jesus Rosario. I am I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana with Riverfront. We've been doing the Dragon Boat races here for a while. I'm brand new as an event coordinator. So I don't really have a lot of the details from our previous Dragon Boat races. But I've known of them, so I know they do very well over here. I'm looking to see what I can learn from the workshop to be able to implement the next season for the Dragon Boat races here.
All right, so you're brand new at learning all this, so that's good. That's good. Okay, so we will get started on. Not a lot of people talked about what they wanted to get done, except for.
Why don't we go back around and do that again?
Well, we sort of talked a little bit about it, but I know that with
We just need to know it. all.
Peggy and Kathy need to
Right.
know it all, so we might have to, and
Yeah.
Jesus as well.
A couple of new
So-
ones last, too.
We did, yeah. Sharon was new last year and she didn't know what in the world was going on. So she, the really interesting thing about this event is I don't think you really know what you've gotten into until you actually do it and put it together. And Peggy came to the
Yeah.
Pensacola race and you actually met Mignon there, if you remember. Because Mignon came, swung by and checked out the Pensacola race since it's so close to here. And so I think it is nice if you haven't put on an event to be able to see it first
Yeah.
and then be
Very
able
helpful to
to
understand.
understand and then that doesn't even
talk
do
to
it really. Yeah, talk to other people, because until you sort of start diving in, I don't think you really know what you're getting into.
There's no way to know.
No, there's no way, there's no, it's just one of those things that you have to do it to kind of make it,
You really do. I mean, you can explain to people what it's about, but then unless they're there seeing it. and
Right.
feeling it,
yeah.
you don't get the full.
Yeah, you don't get the full experience with just an explanation. So, you kind of, so we'll kind of start, I guess, from the beginning, since Kathy and Peggy really definitely need that. And Jesus to some degree, although his event is already created and everything. So for him, it's more of just the nuances and everything. But obviously venue is your first thing, is picking your venue and your date. I guess I need to talk to you all about the date thing too, and figure out where we are on that. We'll figure that out later, but the venue is very important, of course. I have actually seen clients before change venues and to their detriment. Where they've done like this one client had done the race at this one venue for I think 3 years and then decided to move the venue, and it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It was not a good venue.
Oh, okay, because the new venue was not a.
It was not a good venue. It was, the water conditions were more difficult. We went from a lake to a very, a dam driven river that was being driven too much. And it was very limited in terms of viewing.
A little dangerous too.
Yeah, and dangerous in terms of the docking. Yeah, it was that was up not late that
Learning curve.
yeah, I was up
they
late the
moved
night
back to the
before
other one?
worried that somebody was going to get hurt. Then they moved to the other one.
Okay.
They moved to the other venue the next year, but and it was actually it was another United Way. But they were not good at raising money. And they weren't good at getting the teams to raise money, and they weren't good at, and that's really pretty much the big thing that I want to focus on is the teams, getting the teams to raise money. And I have found we have found with clients that pledging is the key, one of the big keys to, and if you, especially when you're doing a first year event, if you start, I'm going to put my jacket on because it is kind of cold in here. It is kind of cold in here, so I'm gonna put my jacket on. The pledging is, if you start out with pledging in the very beginning, it's easier to carry on the pledging.
Explain what you mean by pledging.
Yeah, and as I was gonna say, let me kind of explain what that is. So, and before I do that, I'll tell you about our most successful client who does absolutely the best, hands down, the best job with pledging.
That was gonna be, what's the most successful?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Really?
And I wish, too bad they couldn't join us on the call, because they have just blowing it out of the park. And they've been doing it for what, 12 years, I
Yeah.
think. I'm sure I have it some, I'm sure I have it somewhere, but they've done it. Yeah, they've done it more than a decade. And it is a CAC, if you're familiar with that. I'm sure Mignon is, Children's Advocacy Center. And they're doing a lot of what Sharon organization is doing with sexual assault. But they don't do as much with the domestic violence as they're focused primarily on the kids. Yeah. And they do the forensic, if you know what the forensic, yeah. Yeah. So they do all that. And her key too is she puts together a committee and a lot of it is her board members are her board members. And so that, like there'd be, and I think I have committee stuff here in the agenda, suggestions for what subjects or what, I'm sorry, what committees you should have, like logistics committee, team
I saw that.
management. Okay, it's in there somewhere. Fundraising, yeah.
Under 30.
Okay, perfect. Kathy's got the whole thing down here. But it has, so she has put people, who fit those committee descriptions, basically, the right people. Yes. She's got, and she and I bond a lot because we were both used to be newspaper people. She used to be a newspaper reporter. I used to be a newspaper reporter. So she does a good job of figuring out, the pieces. And it was kind of interesting. She said to me one day, and this was probably year number 4 or 5, and this was when she was starting to kind of build and say them, because they went from probably raising about what Sharon said, 20,000 or 30,000 or whatever the first year. And then it incrementally started building every year. And it would be like, okay, then the next year it's 50,000. Then she got to 70,000, 80,000. Well, they're at 300,000 now. I am not joking. 300,000. Yeah. And so yeah. So she asked me one year, and I don't know, I think she started promoting around this concept when she said this to me. One year she said, I have a hard time figuring out how to sort of connect to people that, you are raising money for this awful thing, child abuse. And how does it connect to Dragon Boat? Like, how do you make the connection?
Right.
And I said, it takes a team to put together and win a Dragon Boat race. So it takes a team in the community
Right.
to fight child abuse,
Right.
to, do.
Everybody
So-
works together to solve the problem.
Exactly. And that went boom in her head. And one of the things that she does that you started doing this past year, I think, or 2 years ago, whenever it was she gets these yard signs that she puts all around the venue, all over the venue. I mean, everywhere. There's like, I don't know, there's probably 20 or 30 yard signs, aren't there? If not more. Yeah. Yeah. And
We don't have that many.
yeah, but yours is tight. Yeah, yours is tight.
This now a little bit longer than you too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
And they just
she's been able to
they just
add-
reuse it every year
Right,
too.
right.
Yeah, but the little yard signs say things like, we served X amount of children last year.
Impact.
Yeah,
An
impact,
Oh, yeah.
exactly, the impact. And yours say something different, but you have them and they
Mhm.
say, how many, how much,
Families you have.
go ahead and.
Yeah.
What it does say.
Anyone who makes money anywhere wants to know how it's being used
That's
and what's its
exactly-
impact on the.
That's exactly,
Effort.
like we sponsor 9 free pre-K classrooms. So we say how many children we serve in that program, or, we sponsor some tutoring programs. So we put those statistics out on signs. So when people at the festival, they're seeing, like you said, where the money's going to.
And what you've done is backed up what you're talking about when you
Yeah.
see them in person.
Yeah.
And you're looking at them. Good. get a pledge or get a sponsorship.
Exactly.
Let me check on something while we're doing this. When,
One of my
It's either-
is from Pensacola, which
uh-huh,
I love.
yeah.
We would spray paint our spots where they put their tents up. They had signs, like yard signs with the
Right.
numbers. So doing that.
What a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then you just use them every year, because it's a
Right.
pain going out there and spray painting a spot and. you know,
Yeah,
every
that's
off
true.
and-
And they don't
Yeah.
pay any attention to that anyway.
Yeah,
It's hard to
I don't
find
like
the
doing
grass.
it. It is,
It is, so.
Yeah.
so we're gonna do the signs this year.
Oh, good.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's smart. And those were like tiny, I think, too. You just get the little bitty ones. Yeah.
Those were big at Pensacola.
But you can
We have
get
the
like,
steak- We have a million steaks. I don't know where they came from. That were donated to us and leftover from stuff. So we have the
oh,
steaks.
there you go. Okay, cool.
Because we want our logo on it and Dragon Boat logo on it. We don't want
Yeah.
just the number. We want to.
So real quick, before we get too far ahead, I want to check on something. Either Sharon or Jesus, let me know. When we're having like these little conversations, can you guys pick them up on my speaker? Like without, because we're having some feedback things here. If we're all talking at once with our computers unmuted, can everybody hear like when everybody's
Like
jumping
when
in?
I'm talking, because I'm still muted, but Penny would pick me up.
Yeah.
so.
Yes,
I can hear
Okay,
myself in the
okay.
mic.
I just want to make
Yes.
sure. Okay. Good.
without any like feedback or reverb, like
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
There's only one.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
it sounds good.
Okay, good, good, good.
your
I just wanted to-
computer. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
I wanted to make
picking up
sure.
the speaker, yeah.
Okay, good. I want to make sure before we got too much farther so that,
Right.
so it wasn't like, you know.
Oh, it's hard. You know, if you're in Zoom,
Right.
and you guys on Zoom are gonna have a problem sometimes hearing things that
Mhm,
are going on.
mhm.
And I know they
Yeah,
said
we're
something
small
that I
enough.
wanted to hear.
We're in a small enough setting. that it'll-
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, just making sure.
Can we go back to pledging?
Yes, exactly. I was gonna definitely go back to that. So, so I think a lot of those sort of little things to let people know this is what you're like, it's showing people their impact, like Mignon said. And they also, so one of the things too that I really feel like is very important, and I know that Jennifer does in Little Rock very well too, is you really want to communicate it with them that this is what this is not necessarily that you have to say this is required or this is mandatory, but you almost have to communicate it like it is to
Mhm.
them,
To who?
to the teams,
Okay,
to the teams.
okay.
So when a team, when
Teams that pledge.
yeah. So I was glad to hear that Sharon was saying that they're going to start opening registrations sooner this year and go ahead and get people on, because the sooner you can get them on, some people are going to be last minute. You're going to get, a handful of teams or so in the beginning, and then they'll start rolling in later because you're going to always have your last minutes. But and I have actually done some team management been doing this for 18 years. So in the beginning, we were doing everything anyway. And I have had some clients over the years who have actually paid extra for us to do team management for them. So even in recent years, we've done some team management help with clients. And so I have,
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Team is signing up.
yes,
I'm sure there's an application form
right.
and then
Right.
rules. In order to
Yes.
participate,
Mhm.
you have to do it. And
Yeah.
in there, is there the pledge information?
Well, that's where you want to get them. Because, after they fill that out, you want to get them in first and get them locked in, and then let them know what's going there, what else you expect. Because 90 to 95% of the time, a team is going to sign up with the company's money. So let's say, like, for example, here in Sevierville, you got Yates Construction. I'm looking at your board so I can see the teams over there. You've got like Harris Casino that signs up as a team. Hancock Whitney Bank. You got, Mississippi Power. Those are good examples. They are paying for the registration fee. So then let's say Lynn and I are on a team, and, we don't have to pay anything for participating in the team because our company paid for that for us, right?
Mhm.
So that's where you want to capture their money, the individual's money, right? So you're gonna have it, you're gonna, and
What
you're
is
gonna,
that fee, by the way?
that's a great question. I'd say on average, our clients are charging at least $1,000. They charge a little bit more here. Mignon charges 1,600, I think. Yeah. So I would say don't go below 1,000.
So
For sure.
maybe first out, first.
We-
in,
We were a little concerned with that about what we should charge the first time, and we went with 1,300.
Okay.
And I thought that worked out great. And many boats, the captain charged, divided the 1,300 between however many people. I
Yeah.
think it worked out to like $65 a person. But, he explained about the cause, charged a little more per person. Now, we didn't have a company. My boat was an outdoor group we had.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we actually got more than $1,300 and could use that at your auction, that extra money.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
yeah,
go.
yeah. We gotta talk about the auction too. I'm
Yeah.
glad you brought that up.
So I thought that worked out really well, to me, $65 was not obnoxious, and to pay another 10, so you get a little more, 75, still not obnoxious. And
It's
I
a new
just-
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that's-
forgot to mention, Sharon, that you paddled on a team.
that was a blast. I cannot wait to
Oh,
do
it's
that
so
again.
much fun.
And
Yeah.
I think,
That's why.
I think
people will
We
go.
got second place.
I
My
was gonna
team-
say, didn't your team like get second or third place? Yeah.
second
like,
place.
second
Well,
place.
at first we got third, but they redid the numbers or
That
something.
was
And we got
an
second.
error at
so-
the finish line. Yeah.
Nevertheless.
Yeah.
No one was in, my husband always says I'm crazy when I say this. No one was in there to win. He says, everybody wants to win.
Yeah.
I say, that's not true. It's about having fun and raising the money. and-
I think by the,
No,
si-
I have teams that win and don't win.
yeah. Oh, everybody does.
It's on.
Now that-
Everybody does.
It's a good feeling. I mean, it's a good feeling whether you just participate. It's a blast. And it's a real good feeling if you happen to place.
You
Yeah.
21, there's
21,
20
that's
paddlers, and then your
that's right.
drummer, then we provide the steersman.
Yeah.
To finish off the boat of 22 people.
I want to be a drummer.
Well, I remember Sharon's team. I think that the first race, you guys were probably just kind of like, yeah, whatever. And by the second race, you got competitive. And then by the third race, you got even more competitive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But they
yeah,
say
your team-
practice makes perfect,
Yeah,
the practices are great, but the practices are difficult because
yeah,
we've only got 2 days to arrange practices and most of these people are working.
Mhm.
So everybody wants to practice at 6 o'clock, but everybody can't. So, and then Saturday morning practice is hard because you've got people from different teams all on that boat trying to get it together.
Yeah.
And, until they get with their own team and their own groove, it's, but again, it's not about winning. It's about raising money for the cause and having fun.
Yeah.
And we don't do Saturday morning practices.
Well, what happened with they're in a very rural community and people.
Yeah,
a lot
see
of-
my backyard? Can you see my
Yeah, you see
backyard?
your-
We don't have a lot of houses.
Yeah, you see where, so it's a drive to get to the venue from,
Gotcha.
for most people. And I think there were 1 or 2 teams that were coming from maybe a 30 to 40-minute distance. Is
We
what
did.
happened.
We did have one professional team, I think, came in from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I struggled last year. And I know we're jumping all over the place. I apologize for that, but
Okay, that happened.
I sent invites out, I looked up all professional teams online, sent out invites and I only got one.
They're club
I-
teams is
I
what she.
I struggled with that, with like the good guys, like, why did only one want to come? Was it a date conflict? I don't know. But I'd like to do better with that because that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Well, your Saturday morning practices are typically a last ditch effort to.
a last
get-
minute effort to
to get a
accommodate people.
team, right, to accommodate a team, to have them have a good race. But to do a practice Saturday morning before the races.
It's tough.
It takes a lot of energy away from your paddlers, so therefore.
That's true. Yeah.
Sharon can tell you I did try to discourage that, but
You did, but
but now you know why. But now you know
I
why.
understand, but I can't tell people no, they want to
Right.
race and they have to work and you just make do.
Yeah,
Right.
we
yeah,
try to
and it
help
worked out.
balance best.
It worked out fine. It actually worked out really well.
Maybe this year it won't be so difficult because they know what's going on now. They'll have more notice and then hopefully be more in tune to the reason why it's best to arrange your schedule and practice in advance.
Right, I don't think they understood the benefits of practices either, because a first year event and they're thinking, well, maybe I can, just wing it or whatever. I think that's the other thing is they thought that, that they could just come in and, do
You
it
guys
whenever.
Bring the boats. there.
We bring the boats, yeah.
We bring everything.
How fast do the boats come in?
Well,
I'll come in at once.
But I mean, 2 days
What-
before, 3 days.
it
before?
depends on how many teams you have.
And your practice schedule.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So-
if you have like 18 teams, you're gonna have like 6 teams that can practice for 3 nights with like 2 or 3 coaches, and then you could break it down in hours or, so you're gonna try to divide your amount of teams with how many coaches we can bring in, and then we'll do practices according to that. So if we can do 6 teams a night with like 2 coaches or 8 teams a night, then we can kind of get 2-3 days out in advance.
Okay.
So your practice times for everybody is going to be more focused on later in the afternoon after work.
Mhm.
Now, some teams are corporations, they're like, yeah, take the day off, go do practice, come
Mhm.
back to work.
Mhm.
And we're there all the time, so we're able to accommodate all those schedules. We've had teams show up at 6-7 o'clock in the morning to
Mhm.
practice and.
Yeah.
We've had odd 30, on the half hours instead of starting on the hours, so we'll kind of fit them in, but. Practice schedules have to be logical to where some people are like, well, we give them 30 minutes for practice. That's really not enough time to get a team there organized, geared up, safety speeches, into the boats doing practice. Give them a good practice and then get back out of the water. Some people are like, oh, we'll just give them 15-20 minutes, go out there and paddle around for a few minutes. Where we're wanting a little bit more time to be able to, right, not to kill them or make them, because a 20-minute practice, I mean, that's like an intense gym workout,
Right.
because that's really what this is a
Yeah.
gym workout, so.
Well, I'm instantly thinking, we have such competitive military in our. country.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they like to compete, they do the gate to gate runs and all of that stuff. And I'm thinking the 33rd Air Wing will go against the 52nd. And we got the
Mhm.
7th Special Forces in town, and then Hurlbird, and all of a sudden, once you
Mhm.
go to any of those and hit them up, they're gonna compete big time.
Yeah.
So they. get
Pensacola
started
has
work
some
at
military
3 o'clock,
teams.
And that's plenty of time in the afternoon to get a
Mhm.
practice in.
And to kind of
Mhm.
back up just a little bit to pledging and trying to make this a fundraiser is now you start, after we've done this so long, we start realizing that there's little things in your event on that day that you can promote as little fundraisers to help get you a little bit more money. So we encourage our charities to provide extra practice times, but they have to pay for that second practice time. Let everybody have their first practice
Yeah.
time.
Press
Pay
play
for
for
the
3
second,
months.
because there's some teams that really do want that. And if you're not really greedy on it and you can sort of restructure your practice schedule to allow that to happen, because you might get other people who want to practice more through the week because they already
Or
know
can.
of it, right, and can. So we use that as a little fundraiser, and we'll talk some
What's a
other.
good price for
So let me approach this a little bit from another angle that I found in doing it the first time. I looked at your recommendations, you're going to be there for 2 days. We can do this many practices.
Yeah.
And I'll be real honest because I'm a pretty blunt person.
Yeah.
At first I thought, well, gee, this is pretty crappy. People can't come to work. How am I going to deal with this? Not going to work. But I did what I was told, because I was also told, if we're going to have a more flexible practice schedule, then you guys do have to maybe stay longer. And that's costing your organization money also.
Right,
Correct.
right.
So on a first time event, you want to make as much money. Just keep that in mind. It'll help you be more patient, as it
And-
was in my case.
Yeah, yeah. And we actually had originally planned for 3 days for your
I
event.
know.
And
This is not a bad remark against your organization.
no,
It's
no.
my learning curve.
no, no. I was just gonna say, as we started getting closer to it and you didn't have as many teams,
We only had 10 teams, I think.
right. Yeah, we made the decision together to,
Yeah.
and I said, there's no point in having us for 3 days when you
Agreed.
don't. So
And that was good.
Yeah, and we even brought down the number of boats I brought because
Yes.
of that as well. So,
Yeah.
my suspicion is this year you're gonna need all the number of boats.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, right. And and probably the 3 days of practice too. But if we don't, then we'd make the adjustment
But
later.
that's a good example of the learning and understanding that I
Yeah.
received going through this event versus sitting in this Zoom call.
Yeah,
Everybody told me that last time. That's why I wanted to bring that up.
yeah, that's
I
true.
mean,
That is a
we're-
good point. Yeah.
Not only are we both coaches in the boat, Penny and I, but we're
Yeah.
both coaches to you all. I mean, we want to see you
Mhm.
guys make as much money and be successful. So if we take
Yeah.
a little bit on the chin and we're not making nearly as much, then all we're trying to do, and I used to have this debate with my father, was if we can give you $200-300 easy this year, then and not kill you, then we're just trying to make a better
Probably more than
investment in
that.
y'all for longer, down the road. So I mean, that number was just,
Yeah.
but the only thing that I was saying is, as you're doing this, listen to your teams and you can find little ways to make more money. You don't have to be like really greedy about it, but you can get more money, and eventually, if you kind of start putting these things all together, you might get 3-4 team registrations without having to do practices, without having to do anything, and it's just kind of extra money flowing in. So we're just trying to give you guys as much knowledge and flexibility. So going forward, you can come back and say, hey, Chris, Penny, can we do this? And keep it within our budget. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
We're very.
What's a
open.
good number of teams to use as your goal for the first year?
20
20?
to 25. And sometimes,
Remember, we only had 10 and still made $20,000.
yeah,
That's
I was
right.
gonna say, sometimes it depends on
You
size
know
of your, I mean, Sharon's in a very small
Oh, right,
community, but they fell in love with it and it's gonna be bigger for sure.
Sure.
And an example of how, Chris's point, the more, like he said, we want to keep you, of course, as a client for years. So this is a long-term relationship. Like Mignon said, we've been together for 8 years now. And so like with Little Rock, for example, since we talked about how much money they make, the first year, I think we brought 4 boats, right? The first year we took 4 boats. And then eventually, maybe year 3 or 4, everybody's signing clothes there.
Military park.
Yeah, with the stick. Yeah. Oh, that's cute.
I'm cold.
It's cute. That's cute.
Thank you.
So,
Now my blood-
so we went from 4 boats to then 6 boats, and now we take 8 boats to that venue because they've grown so much. I mean, they have in their peak, they had 48 teams. I mean, yeah. And so and she's actually gone down on number of teams, but they're still raising the money. And another, before I forget this thought, another key to why they raise so much money there too is, especially in Little Rock, is they've sort of made it a competition off the water. So the teams, she has like a leaderboard that she puts up on her website, on her fundraising website, that shows who's in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th place.
On the pledges.
On the pledges, yeah.
Wow.
And it goes from 1 to, and she said, I remember her saying this to me one year. She said, I'm putting the teams on there that don't raise money so they can be shamed and see, and you can, yeah. So even if you don't raise any money, you're at the very bottom and it says 0. Yeah. Yeah.
But, some of your teams are like CrossFit gyms who,
Mhm.
kind of compete.
They're
all
not
the
gonna
time.
raise money.
They're really not gonna raise much money.
They're not gonna raise
And they're
money.
gonna be very competitive, so they're going after your first spot.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have teams like that, and then you're gonna have teams that are gonna be last of the pack coming in, you know, dragging the anchor award, but they're gonna raise the most amount of money. So they might be last on the water, first in pledging, and they're gonna have fun, and that's, you know, so just kind of accommodate
So you award
everybody.
them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get awarded.
Yeah,
keep 'em-
that's-
Keep them
we'll
happy
talk about that
because
too.
best, they have, so she does, in Little Rock, she does a bunch of trophies. She does something like 18 paddle trophies.
Yeah.
And one of them is top fundraising, and it's a nice little trophy, and they're.
Put it in your office or there.
Oh,
They
yeah,
do.
We see these
They
things
do.
all the time, these paddles that we kind of have going, so, and it's kind of funny to watch them grow, and their display case gets bigger, and, you know, I mean, going to corporations, see their, you know, their little paddles and
I love
trophies,
seeing
and they
them,
love them.
casinos.
I do too.
other
Right.
Companies. For us,
Can
we don't push it generally because our main fundraiser is
Pledges.
workplace campaign,
Yeah.
where people pledge through their workplace. So
Mhm.
they're already making that donation.
Right,
Mhm.
So we don't,
through United Way.
yes.
Mhm.
But we do a split the pot raffle, which is fun and easy to do. You know, people walking around selling those tickets to
Mhm.
everybody.
Hey, Zeus, you're gonna say
Like a
something?
50-50.
Yeah, can I ask a quick question? Yeah, I mean, I just want to kind of take it back to like a Eagles view.
Yeah.
What is Dynamic LLC? What do you guys provide to your clients?
Oh, okay.
'Cause I have no clue.
Yeah.
Like, how do we pay you? How does this work? Also, just before you start, I am the new vice president of the Save Maumee grassroots organization here in Fort Wayne. And this might be something that they might be looking at to do a race as well. It's on the Maumee River, which also stretches into Ohio. So we might
Toledo.
have
Yeah.
something brewing. As the VP, I'm looking for different opportunities, and this might be something to. Exactly. That's why I'm asking from
Yeah.
Eagles view, what does
Yeah.
Dynamic provide to their
Perfect.
clients, and how do we work with you?
Okay, your brain is spinning. Okay, so we are very much like a sort of your vendor, your dragon boat vendor. We provide your the boats for obviously for the races. So a client like Peggy who contacted me through somebody who knew me before, or if you know just however people here, you know, they contact us and they say, I need a bid for, I want to do a Dragon Boat Festival, I need a bid. So we provide the boats, we provide the coaches that come in during the week. We come in, like we were talking before, 2 to 3 days in advance with the boats. We do the basically the client, you guys are getting the teams and the sponsors and all that, and then we come in with the boats and the equipment and that are neat, and then we basically run the race. We manage the race and the logistics piece of it. But in advance of that, like which is what we're doing now, obviously, we also kind of help guide you through to help you understand how to do it. That way you're not just flying blind and you don't, have the resources that you need. And another thing, especially, you might not have this because I don't think you're on my email distribution list. But I will make sure, I'm going to make a note to myself to do this because now I have your email. There's a client login area, and I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, Peggy. I can't remember. I sometimes forget to mention this, but there's a client login area on our website as well that is a password protected page. And I have uploaded a bunch of files on there, and it is there. You'll find this agenda on there. I haven't uploaded it yet, but I will. The past years are uploaded as well. There are sponsorship examples on there that in fact, Mignon, I think, has shared hers. So I basically get from other people some of the material that they have used to put on this event so that you're not reinventing the wheel. There's timelines on there. There's information about volunteers. There is information about the history of dragon boat racing, promotional type things that other people have shared with me, other clients have shared with me that I just upload to there. So essentially, we want to be your consultant as well as your equipment supplier to make sure that like we were saying, to make sure this event goes off well so that it does become a happy relationship for years to come.
So then the Dragon Boat team here at Parks and Rec, they're right now, they're getting ramped up and they're about to like say, hey, we've got 10 teams, or we need 10 boats, or we need however many boats. They tell you how many boats they need, or how does that part work?
You're trying to figure out how many teams that you are getting in your community, and then you're
Got
gonna
it.
tell us that, and then we're gonna readjust our load and come
Yeah.
out that way.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yep. That's what I figured. I was just making sure that I was
Yeah,
right up here.
Because you have 10 teams, doesn't mean they're gonna bring 10 boats.
correct. Right.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
it's used for more than one team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we do it in heats.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
we've been bringing 4 boats to your event for a while now. We were up to 3 boats, when Karen, is that right? Karen ran the
Karen,
event?
yeah. Mhm.
So we were able to run 3 boats wide on the
So 6,
river.
it was 6 that we took.
So 3 boats are at the dock loading and unloading while 3 boats are racing. So when those are done racing, they come back to the docks, the boats that are on the dock. So we keep your day running
Moving.
pretty well.
Cool.
3 boats can handle probably 24 teams pretty easily. You don't want to do 2, but your waterway is pretty much, the St. John is pretty narrow and it's pretty wide right there. But you know, that's kind of how we adjust and work to what we bring in. Now, the other thing too is we can bring in like 9 boats. So there's 3 boats up there at the start line waiting to race, 3 boats racing, 3 boats. So we can keep that running, you know,
That's a really big
like,
event.
pretty quickly all day long, you know, but
No,
it's up to you.
that
to
would be a
help
big
us.
event. if
So
we
this
had
is the
that
working
many.
relationship between the 2 of us where you're telling us how many teams you have, and then we are bringing in the amount of equipment to provide you the service to help organize a day. So where it's not like over 8 hours, we want to try to keep it 6 hours or under.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
you know,
Thank you. And then you guys
Yeah.
do this nationwide, I assume, or you
Yeah.
guys stick to?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
that's-
We're
Really?
in, we're as far west as Little Rock, Arkansas. Well, I guess we're farther west now. We're farther west now. Yeah, we're in St. Louis, Missouri now. Tech,
Potsdam, New York is.
Yeah, all the way to upstate
almost
New
up on
York.
St. Lawrence Seaway.
Yeah. yeah, we have 22 races, I believe, on the calendar.
Where is it that the rivers are low now? Is it Colorado? Is it up there, or
Yeah.
Arizona? One of those places. They're
Colorado.
gonna need a fundraiser out there.
Yeah.
So if you bring one out there.
They need some water out there.
Saying fundraiser to help out with soil regeneration so that the water stays where it's supposed to be. Anyway, sorry. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
that makes all. That's where my head was going, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure so I could put all the pieces together.
I'm sorry we didn't explain that better in the intro, but yeah, it
Oh,
that
no,
makes
no
sense that you don't
worries.
know that because that makes sense. I kind of almost have like a sort of a gauge that I use in terms of how many teams. Typically, like Sharon was saying, she only had like 10 teams last year. I only took 2 boats to their venue. Part of that was because, obviously they didn't have that many teams. And the other thing is, like she was saying, we don't want to kill them with costs, especially the first year. And that what's the point, of doing that? We would be done in like 2 hours, with 4 boats and 10 teams, we'd be done super fast too. So if you have, obviously that few of teams, we're not going to bring that many boats. And then if you've got like 20 to from like 18 to 25-ish teams, 4 boats. You can start looking at 25 to 35 teams, you want 6 boats. You start looking at 35 to 45 or more teams, you got 8 boats. We have taken 10 boats to a venue before. I have used 12 boats before at a venue
Wow.
that had 90 some teams.
Ooh, that's what I.
And that was And we use the scenario that Chris was talking about earlier. We raced 3 boats at a time. The next 3 were like right behind it. And then the next 3 were, it was a constantly moving thing. So it just depends on your logistics and how you want to do that. So back to the money and the fundraising. And so obviously sponsors are important to try to get. I mean, that's besides getting your venue, first and foremost, one of your second probably your second or third or whatever priority is to get sponsors. And you want sponsors to get sponsors before you get your teams. Well, sponsors are also teams too, because they'll have teams in the event, but because they're budgeting and, for the next year and stuff like that. So that's like you want to get on that pretty quickly, sponsors. And ideally, this doesn't always happen, but ideally I tell clients that you want enough sponsorship money to pay for us to come in, because if you do that, then everything else for you is pretty much income, because we're going to be, let's face it, we're going to be your biggest expense. Okay.
So your fee.
Yeah.
Is based on what, the number of teams?
The number of boats that you rent. So it's a rental fee per boat. So it'll be the number of boats you rent, the number of days for practices, then coaches, you pay for our transportation fee to get to your venue from Knoxville, because that's where the boats are. And then there's a race production and crew fee, which is it pays for us. It allows us to pay for our officials who are doing the finish line timing, the start line timing, the marshaling, and then all the equipment that goes with that on our end. And then we set up the race course for you, buoys out there, so that when the teams race, they're racing between the buoys and all that, and it basically pays for us to put on the event, and that is a larger fee, of course, and then docks. Maybe if docks are needed, we do have docks that we can bring in.
On average, let's say you would bring 4 boats. Let's
Yeah.
just use
Yeah.
that as an average.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your overall fee would approximately be, and you're gonna have
And then there's also
2
staff lodging, food, and
Let me add to
which
the
you can
lodging
get
and,
which you can get in kind if possible. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Sharon's going to tell you
People
about
should
that.
not get panicked over that, because people are gonna be happy to give them places to stay, and local restaurants are happy to feed them.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can get real creative on that one.
Tell them where we stayed this year, Sharon, at your venue.
You guys stayed at Rosie's place, so we have a board member.
One of my
So
favorite lodging for the year.
And, she has, let's just say she has an extra home that she uses
Farmhouse.
for
farmhouse.
family and friends. Yeah, so, and it's very nice. She even fed you one night.
She did. She came over.
She even
came
cooked
over and
for
made
you.
a shrimp scampi.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
talked
which we
about
love a
that in
good
the
home cooked
beginning.
meal.
In the beginning, before we saw, other restaurants that were willing to pay or do whatever, said, different people on the board can take turns and feed the team. It's fun. Everyone loves a dinner party, right?
And the Airbnbs that are out there now are getting relatively very reasonable. Like,
Yeah.
When we did Mobile, they
Yeah.
put us up in a couple of houses that were Airbnb. And for the staff just to get together like that, it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have fun in a hotel, but they get expensive. So.
I actually manage 3 Airbnb properties here in Fort Wayne, so I second that.
Yeah.
He said he
Say that again, Jesus.
Jesus said he manages.
Yes. Yeah, I own one and manage 2 other Airbnbs here in town. So yeah, I second that. Yeah, we can
Take it all
totally.
down.
Yeah, there's a lot of places out there that'll help out.
Our president of our board works in Harris.
Yeah, that helps.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
helps.
times we come into a community and there's like, okay, here's all your gift certificates, here's where you're eating every night. Sometimes the charities go with us and just pay for it and enjoy dinner with us.
Yeah,
And then, if we're at a hotel, breakfast is covered by the hotel, and then
Right.
lunch, they might do something fun with us for lunch, or just send us somewhere, say, go here.
and then expense it
That is
or
not
whatever.
an issue
Okay, good.
Yes, we have a community that's very giving.
Yeah.
When it
Nice.
comes
Good.
to condos on the beach
Yeah.
and stuff, we can go to
Good.
them and say, we need it. We need it."
Woo-hoo.
Chris is like, I'm working that video.
That might appeal Crawford.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's really good at it. It's crawfish season. What?
You grow up with that. you like it.
I like it. I like it better if somebody else kills it, but
The DB, just as an average.
for 4 boats,
2 days, say 4 boats, 2 days worth of practice.
Yeah.
you're probably looking at 18 to 22,000 total.
Okay.
And for ish, somewhere around there. And for first year events, what we try to do, and some other clients do this as well. Sometimes clients sort of tell me the way they like to be invoiced as well, but especially for first year clients, what we like to do is we ask for like a $2,000 down payment and then say, you don't pay us again until your date. That gives you the time to raise the money and get it going. Yeah.
Well, we're looking at if we get one lead sponsor,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
let's say for $25,000.
exactly. Exactly. That's what you
So-
want to hear.
I have a
Exactly.
question. So I'm raising my hand there. You can see that.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Since this is the second year, we don't have to give you that $2,000 deposit? You still don't want to deposit?
No, yeah. We'll take, no, we'll take the 2,000. We'll take the 2,000, but I still have on your contract, I still have it set up for you to pay the down payment and then nothing again until your event.
I see the gap. Okay. So it's the same as what we did.
It's the same. Yeah, yeah. So, I'll structure it like this, one of our clients. Yeah, like one of our clients, we did I had left it that way, 2,000 down and then nothing until race day. And then they said, we would prefer to be invoiced through so we don't have that big chunk at the end. And so they wanted to be invoiced monthly after that. And so I mean, so literally their payments are like 2,000 down and then, 1,500 or something like that a month. And then that helps them with their cash flow situation, or, it just helps them. They just like it better that way, I guess, basically.
So
And
you're flexible. That's a
I'm
good thing.
flexible. Absolutely.
Sure, we
Yeah.
have to be. I mean.
Yeah,
we
we're
have to be.
flexible. Yeah, we're good with, we've luckily we've been doing this for enough years that we can be flexible, but so that helps. So yeah, we're flexible in terms of how you want to do that.
And wasn't that kind of an early date? I'm just trying to jog my memory bank. So I think we had to have our down payment like March, or seemed kind of early compared to when the event was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to send all that stuff out now.
I'm just trying to get a feel for when that's due this year,
Yeah.
but I can't remember exactly.
We're also very flexible on, we know that you'll send us, the payment at some point. I mean, as I've had people not send the down payment until right before I brought the boats before. I mean, it's, which I was like, okay, I really want the down payment because I don't want to come with the boats without your down payment. So that is kind of a, but I'm, yeah, we've got expenses. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
And-
and nonprofits struggle with getting
Sure,
funds in. and
exactly.
sometimes their funding is coming in increments.
Right.
So
Yeah.
That's the hard part about that.
Well, the nice thing is having 20 some odd clients, some people are going to send it, sooner than others, and we're going to
And
have
we-
cash flow going,
We do an early bird registration. So if they
Yeah, that's
register
a
by-
great idea.
Mhm, by February 24th, I think it was this year, they get $100 off their registration.
And
fee. And then I
your
added
event is when?
April.
There's our first, they're our first
Yeah, they're
race.
the engine.
They're our first
Or the
race.
engine.
They
And
start.
then this year we added, if you get another team to sign up.
This is a
you
great
get
idea.
$100 off your registration.
So there you go. That's
Yeah.
a nice idea.
So if those of you on the Zoom call didn't hear that, $100 off for other companies to get another team. That way you get that another income.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way you get more income. That's a great way to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So register early. Get another team and.
And you get $200
Mhm.
off, I mean, that's a great motivation.
It is a great
right there.
motivation.
Yeah, that is a great
And if you're
motivation.
giving, then you just give
So-
$100 back to.
Nobody has done that yet, Chris.
So the other point to what Sharon was saying too is I'm getting the contracts and stuff done now because it's our downtime, basically. Because, you know, like she said, her race is in end of April. So by March, I'm starting to get super busy preparing for the races. So I don't have time to be doing the contracts and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
So realistically, for a first timer,
Mhm.
you know, how many months ahead of time do
Great
we need to
question.
start?
Great question.
Now,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no matter when the date is now. Yeah,
You've got a
pretty
great
much.
Timeline.
Pretty much. Yeah, there is a timeline on here that's, you know, realistically, you're looking at 4 to 6 months. And I mean, like Sharon said now, because the more time you can spend on it, and it's not like you're going to spend 100% of your time on, you know, hopefully on this event. Like I was saying, you know, your first priorities are the venue, the sponsors, and those are like Sharon was saying, those are your now times to do
so
it.
when we were new, you know, Penny, you sent that package out. You had a contract in it, you had captains in it is a big package. And fortunately, I like to read. So I actually read everything in that package. I was probably the only one on the team. that
Probably
did
were
it.
the only one, yeah.
And then I took that information, and I put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And I split it into phases for planning. So like in phase 1, all this stuff had to be done. Phase 2, phase 3 was the final days before the race. And then everyone on the committee, as you mentioned earlier, was given assignments. So maybe if you want, Penny, I can clean that out, find it, and send it out as a template.
That would be
That would be
great.
great.
And I will put it, I can put it on,
She does have one in here.
I can put it on the.
Oh, there is an Excel one, but yours, I think, Penny, was all in Word. My
Yeah.
brain works in Excel. Everybody has differences.
Actually, I use numbers a lot. And mine might have been, numbers that was converted to PDF.
Okay.
For every.
And I know
can
PDF,
only
PDF
put-
is great to mail stuff around. I get
Yeah,
that.
I can only put things in the client login in PDF. I can't put it in
Yeah.
Excel or anything else. Linda Evans has joined us and
Sorry, I'm late.
for sure. No, that's okay. I'll let Linda introduce herself real quick while we're stopped for a second.
Okay, I'm Linda Evans. I've been dragon boat paddling since 2003 as a breast cancer survivor. So I've been on a team up at Lake Lanier. And then this is the 6th year we've had the Dragon Boat Festival in Ackworth Cobb, and I'm the committee chair. We organized a nonprofit and we donate proceeds to cancer outreach programs in the area.
Yeah.
Super.
And I've paddled in Italy and Vancouver and all those good places.
Linda's been dragon boating longer than I have, and that's saying
Yes.
a lot because I was
Remember the
2005.
first time I saw Penny on a boat.
Yeah, and it was not a pretty sight.
No, it was not.
No, I actually steered off course back then. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And you'll be speaking of international stuff, you'll be happy to know, Linda, that I'm going to be I was asked to steer for a competitive team going to the Pan American Club Crew Championships in Panama
Oh, cool.
Oh,
country
nice.
in March.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So I've come a long way, as
You
you
have.
as
You
you
have.
know, as you know, you've seen my embarrassing moments.
I know, I
in the
know.
dragon boat world.
Well, anyway, I think the best of Penny and Chris both. They're great people to work with.
Thank you. When we love working with you too,
yeah.
of course. This is our Energizer bunny here that does like Linda does like everything. Everything.
Hopefully not this year.
Yeah, I know.
Get you some help, Linda.
I know. I know. We're all hoping that too.
Yeah.
Is there a time that's better to do the races?
You know, the biggest sort of challenge or especially where you are, for you is to decide kind of when to do it so that you're not competing with other big events.
Mhm.
Obviously weather's not that big of a deal for you because you can almost do it. Any,
You don't want to do it in the
you don't,
summer.
right, you don't want
Our
to be,
first
you
one
don't want to
was
be
June
too hot, but yeah, yeah. You don't want to be too hot, but then you could also, you can go into October easily and, we,
September, October's the prettiest month.
yeah, well, Pensacola, when we first took that race, when we first got that race in Pensacola, they were doing it, they were using another company and they were doing it in, what was it, August? Yeah, August. And somehow we convinced them to change the date, or they just decided to change the date. I don't remember what happened.
I don't think our date was available for them, so they.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
And they kept
And-
it in October.
And they, yeah, and so they do it.
Seems like.
They loved it. Well, I mean, I remember the teams, the first year we came, they were like, thank you so much for doing it,
Later.
later because,
It was at the same venue,
Yes.
yeah,
because there's a lot of trees and shade there.
yeah,
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 but
yeah.
you-
That doesn't matter. Yeah, if it's
No,
hot, it's
Yeah,
hot.
that's true. Not,
No,
not
I
down
live in the
here.
South, I know that, but,
Yeah.
just,
yeah, the
we
humidity.
don't have a lot of shade at all. That's why. when we
Right.
did in June, we were like,
Well, you also
Yeah,
have
that
other
was a bad idea.
problems too, like Alabama, big football community. You
Yeah.
hit- You hit the fall, you can watch your team
Yeah.
just go away. You
Yeah.
Do it in the spring,
Yeah.
they're all in. So it's just kind of knowing your community and knowing
Yeah.
your
Mhm.
paddlers and what they want.
The other thing too is competing with sponsors. So if you, like I said, if there's another big event that happens, I know back in the day, they used to have a lot of Relay for Life events, and I don't know, I'm sure they're still around somewhat, but you don't want to like compete with an event that big or whatever in your community and where you're you're looking for the same sponsors, that kind of thing. So things like that.
We steady in the spring and the fall.
Yeah.
5,000 golf tournaments.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now that I wouldn't worry about.
You guys are Florida, I mean, that's the thing, villages alone have, what, a golf course for every 20 people or something?
Exactly.
Yeah.
14 golf
Yeah.
courses on
Yeah.
that
They're still
property.
growing, so I mean.
Yeah.
I think they have more than that.
Now they probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I found one thing that we didn't think about. One thing we didn't think about was graduations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
May is tough. May is tough. Yeah.
We do end
Yeah.
of April, and of course, we're out here, people, they have that going on that weekend. I said, there's something every weekend.
Oh,
So
there
you do have to pick and
Mhm.
choose, but just-
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
the bigger
Yeah.
event you're going up
Right,
against? versus the
exactly.
strong
That's
one?
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So that's,
But
yeah.
September might not be a bad time for us.
Yeah.
I'm just
We actually have some September dates open and we usually don't. Let me tell you, right now, we actually have 1 or 2 September dates open and we typically do not have a September date open. So actually September, that's mid-September right now. I think
It's
the
slightly
15th,
cooler
16th is,
Mhm.
September.
We
Yeah.
Start getting really
Yeah.
busy up north in the beginning part of August, and then we start working our way farther south.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it seems to work out real well that way, so. it
We like
helps.
to collaborate. We like to collaborate and partner with those other events that go on that may be around the same time here, because a lot of things happen in our downtown anyway. Like I heard somebody say, like it's an event every single weekend almost. That's what it's like here. You got the Greek Fest and the this fest and the that fest and the food alley and the carnival and the Three Rivers Festival, and it's every weekend in the summer. So you kind of have to like pick and choose and then try to collaborate with one of those events that might be going on.
Good idea.
Yeah, because you have like bike tours that do stops off at bars or little events like that, so you can get them to come through. I mean, the promenade deck that you guys have, I'll have to admit, Fort Wayne has a beautiful venue that they have just completed and they still are working on.
Mhm.
I mean, you want to talk, it's just drop dead gorgeous.
And before it was not.
It was warehouses. It was a bunch of warehouses there before. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I remember when that was just a parking lot and just buildings, and now it's an amazing place to go. And I'm super lucky that I got this position. I feel like it was made for me. So I'm like,
Score.
And Fort Wayne does have a lot of beautiful parks, and
Yeah, they
They
do.
do have a great water system, and they've kind of like, I don't think they quite use it well enough. They're starting to get a lot better with it. They do have to
Yes.
control some things, but I think eventually the on the water police is gonna.
there's been a lot more focus on soil and water preservation, conservation, and getting back to naturalized, like getting rid of the invasive species and actually planting native species there to hold the riverbanks back, to bring more naturalized, the way it's supposed to be, back to the rivers. And that's why I'm part of the Save Mount Mead grassroots organization as well. And there's other things that are always happening throughout the community that I'm like, let's do it, supporting all that stuff. So
Mhm.
So do you always do them on Saturdays?
No, we have we have some Sunday venues. Yeah, we have about, what, 2 or 3 clients that do Sundays?
Yeah,
Sparta
it's
and
not many, but
Potsdam, New York is gonna do Sunday this year. So yeah, we have a
Did you
couple
find
Sundays.
one works better than the others?
Not necessarily. It's just whatever, is.
Then you.
Yeah, sometimes it's venue driven, yeah. By and large, they're on Saturdays, but it just it depends on what your preference is. I mean, I
It's
haven't
also-
done a whole lot of Sunday races.
it's
You've
also
done more
the
Sunday races than I have.
charities or The communities that want that, they're like, well, we have more time Sunday than we do Saturday, and they may not be necessarily in the Bible Belt, but portion of the South is.
Mhm.
So a Sunday event is not an issue, and they just might start a
No, not at
little
all.
bit later. Instead of doing like 8:30 or 9, they might go to 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, Sunday's not a bad idea for us, because Saturday is beginning of football season.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody
Right.
and his
That's the
brother
thing.
on
Yeah,
Saturday is
right.
on TV.
That's true.
Getting them out on a Saturday.
Plus setup, because the bank, if we do it at that.
Then you-
Then it's closed on Saturdays.
Yeah.
all Saturdays.
Oh.
Yeah, we
Behind our big bank is a
Credit union.
huge area on the water that is just.
Oh, okay, good,
phenomenal.
good. Oh, that's right.
It's phenomenal, and the chairman or the president of the bank is a very big supporter of ours,
Oh, good.
and
They're looking for an event,
That's right.
an annual event.
They've already got a sponsor, basically.
go.
I mean,
we think he's already been a great, huge sponsor right off the bat. So
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Program.
And if they want, if they're looking for an event,
Mhm.
might
They
be
are.
perfect. now.
an annual event that they want to do every
And
year,
matter of fact,
so they can.
One of our board
There it
members is a vice president there. He
Okay.
thought he was gonna be on this morning.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
The
Did you send them a
the
note?
other thing I
Yeah.
think that helps, I think the other thing that, you correct me if I'm wrong, because you've definitely worked more Sunday events than I have, but I would think another advantage would be Sunday practices, because you have more people. I mean, sorry,
Yeah.
Saturday practices, because you have more time slots available.
Big one.
That's true, Lewis, that's right.
Oh, geez.
Did you find the heater?
So
We
cold.
found the heater.
It's working.
Well, we got a heater over here. I'm feeling good now. I got my jacket on. Good. Yeah.
I'm old job, so this is nice to me, so.
So since you
That's a really
mentioned,
good idea,
and
though.
yeah, and since you mentioned that federal, the credit union, and this is something that, I haven't seen in a while, but can be done. Trying to think of an example of who has done this, but, back in the day, I know that, I had one client who did this years ago. It's another way to sell a big sponsorship and get a lot of money. And, Decatur does this on some level, but they don't, I don't think they use the naming rights thing, but like, we have a client in Decatur, Alabama, and they, I think is it a $25,000 or is it $50,000 sponsorship? I think it might be a $25,000 sponsorship or even more. 25, yeah. And the other thing is so I don't remember if it's on the sponsorship file that I have uploaded on the client login area, but you could, if you're really creative and lucky or whatever, you can have like a naming rights sponsorship and have that be your upper level tier, top tier sponsor. And then having, the Torre, right, in Decatur.
Which I like your kind of dynasty. Empire.
Yeah, call it whatever, but you could have like a 25,000, let's say, dollar sponsorship, and then under that a $10,000 sponsorship, and have it be, you know, a big sponsorship, but then you could have like,
Big package for them to offer.
a bit, you
Well,
could
gotta
be,
put together, what does that give them?
exactly,
Right.
right.
And I
But
have
it-
that and I'll share it with y'all. I'll make a copy.
But
This
it
one
could
has
be
something
like-
scribbled on it, 'cause I've been
So for,
updating.
so-
I'll get you a clean-
so for example, it could be like, so show this to the camera here, Gulf Coast Dragon Boat Festival sponsored by Keesler
Keesler,
Federal Credit
exactly,
Union.
that's
You know, that
right.
could be like the whole name of the
Exactly.
event.
We're thinking
And that way,
something-
because they're paying more for that naming rights. Well, yeah, so they've got their
Yeah.
name on all of it, basically. Yeah, so you know, that allows you to have bigger levels, you know, like let's say 25,000, your top naming sponsor, then 10,000. Then from there, you can either go to 7,500 or 5,000 and then start going down from there.
It's just a matter of who gets
What exactly?
Because the top guy gets it all.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
That's
We
it.
do that with Northside.
Right.
Northside, huh? Yeah.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we don't ask them enough. Lord, no.
Right, right. One of the things I've also seen that helps with, that would be another sort of naming type thing that I think sometimes people forget about, but it's real simple, it's easy little thing too, where so we typically, I don't remember, I think you guys do this. When they sign their waiver, a lot of times they'll get like a little Tyvek wristband or something.
We do.
Right.
Expand.
And you can get these imprinted, like this is imprinted. You can get those little, even the Tyvek ones you can get imprinted
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
a logo. So, you know, this is actually a very good thing to sell to a
I mean, these
sponsor.
are much more expensive than the paper ones.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But
Right.
they're also a remembrance.
Yeah.
much more so
Yeah.
than
That's
paper
right, it's a
one that people
keepsake.
will wear, which
It's more of a
advertises
keepsake.
you even more.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I mean, you could jack
Ours are
that thing
just
up and,
Generic plain ones.
yeah, but you can also imprint those.
Yeah.
Yeah, too. So
Yeah, I've seen
just,
that on Amazon.
yeah, so just an idea I wanted to kind of throw out there. Okay, so before I forget to go there, which I'm sure we'll go there at some point anyway, I wanted to also talk about I'll go back to a timeline in a minute, I promise, because we were talking about that early on, but I'm gonna jump around just a little bit. Now, I hope, is Sharon on somewhere? Cause I wanted to.
I'm here. I'm
Okay,
listening. I
okay.
relocated to a different room. I'm trying.
Okay. Okay, I get it. Because I wanted Sharon to, because I thought it was a really neat thing, the way this happened in Maryland this year at her venue. Another revenue stream that you do on site, okay, at the day of, that a lot of our clients do, is called, we call it the steering auction. And what happens is when we come in with the boats and we start coaching them that 1 or 2 days that we're there, they get attached to a certain coach because, you know,
So they
you're
work
bonded
that.
with them. Yeah. And you feel like you get that psychological advantage or whatever. And so, right. So typically you can do it in a number of ways, especially after the first year anyway. But the Sharon is a great example because that was a first year event. Like she said, they only had 10 teams. I told them about the steerers auction. They didn't really, I don't think they really talked to the teams much about it, or you can remind me about that, Sharon, but
We did.
yeah, I don't think
We were just trying to get through the event and have teams, you know.
This is true. So, the way we did it, because I think it's a great example of a good successful steers auction, especially off the cuff,
Right.
like the way we did it. In Maryland is they did the first round, and then everybody raced one time, and then they raced again, a second time. And then we averaged their 2 times, and then we rank them after that, first
That
place
puts them in
to,
the finals.
and which puts them in the finals, which everybody there raced in the finals because they only had 10 teams, right? Of course. So we had talked about the steers auction, and I think Heather was a little hesitant about it. Heather's the executive director at the Dove Center. And then
Didn't understand it till we
Yeah,
saw it in action.
exactly. And then
No.
right. And then I think Heather was kind of like, let's go for it kind of thing. Cause everything was going so great that day, and the teams were attaching to certain coaches and stuff. And we did it.
What is steers?
And that's what I had mentioned earlier,
I was
like
gonna let Sharon talk about it a
the
little bit. Yeah.
members on my boat paid a little bit extra for
Mm-hmm.
each person than what we had to get a boat in the race.
Right.
And then fortunately, our team captain, who had done this once before, was smart enough to keep track of that amount of money. And when he heard there was an auction, he's like, oh, I got money.
Yeah.
And that's where that extra money went. I know it's supposed to go to the cause, but in our case, it was the first
Well, it
time.
did go to the cause.
And it did go to the cause, yeah, but I think now going forward, when we start to get the hype rolling for the event, we can talk about this in the community, and they'll realize, we got to raise a little more money. We got that steers auction coming up, and people didn't have a clue. Most people who sat in a boat at this event had never done it before. I would say 90% of the people
Mhm.
had never done this before.
Right.
So that, now we can speak.
Kathy, Peggy are like, well, what is it?
First
How do you do it?
Round 1 and round 2 is just your teams competing. So the last round is your finals. As you go into that, now your teams are seeded basically 1 through 10. And those competitive teams are going to want just whatever little bit of edge they can. So if they had a coach that trained them in practice, but they weren't able to see them maybe just once on race day, had another coach, didn't have a very good race. Now they have an opportunity. If I have enough money, I get to pick first as to which coach I want in my boat. So I can have
Yeah.
really good.
So coach and steer are the same. thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
what
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I forget that. Forget.
So the steers sits in the back of the boat and shouts out orders.
Yeah.
So the paddlers can be strong, but also the steer is a really good motivator.
Yeah.
And to me, that's sort of the key, motivating the team for power and fun.
Yes,
And they
exactly.
bid on it, and someone else may bid on the same one, so.
Right, that's where you work them against each other too. So what we do is we bring up
Just the
Well,
captains, I think you took up.
the captains. Yeah, we bring up the
Of whatever
captains,
teams that are racing in those first few heats.
and you get them, you get them to bid against each other until what happens is the top bidder gets to pick first. That's the way that's the best way to do it. Oh, good. You got an auctioneer. I did it for the one in Maryland. I've done it for a couple of them, but if you've got somebody even
We have a
better.
really good auctioneer. He could do a lot better job of bringing in a lot
CEO
more.
right
rights
there,
for
and
you.
fabulous.
Oh, good. The
It's
best.
something to
the-
consider an auctioneer. We got some contacts there in case.
Good. Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes, yeah, you probably do. The first time we ever, no, not the first time, but one of the best times we ever did it was in Lewis,
Yeah,
Delaware.
that's the most money we raised.
most money
And
we've
he
ever
was-
seen.
He was a professional.
He was,
auctioneer,
and he just walked up and said, I'll do this for you.
Yeah.
Well,
And he was there.
So this is done right before the finals. then?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much did you guys raise on yours, Sharon, off the cuff there? Do you remember? Was that-
On the auction,
Yeah,
I don't have
it was
that.
like 4,000, I think.
Yeah, you would. I actually didn't see that happen. I knew it
I
was
know.
going on, and the
I did.
captain came back and told me about it, very excited. So I was like secondhand information. but it
Yeah, I
was-
kind of did it without the crowd was so spread out at I
Yeah.
usually do it on the microphone so everybody can hear, but the crowd was so spread out
Yeah, and
at
that's
that point
okay.
when we did it, and I just kind of did it in private with the,
No, I'm
plus
glad
we
you
only had
did it.
10 teams, so I just
Right.
did it privately with I had the two teams come up and I was like, you know, okay,
So what's-
500,
what's
okay,
the
600, you want to go 600, you want to go 700, you know, that kind of thing until
Yeah,
somebody.
And
you know.
that was great for us for the first time, but what's the number of teams we should have before we consider hunting down a real auctioneer?
And I'm.
I don't think
Any
it
number.
matters. If you can get him.
Yeah,
it doesn't
matter.
Volunteer his time.
Right.
You will.
I don't think it
One
matters.
time thing, yeah.
I don't
Or
think it
get
matters.
somebody who is really
Just
loud,
sometimes fun and-
obnoxious.
yeah,
Right,
loud.
right.
Fun.
Yeah, and that always happens in the afternoon, like,
Little spirit.
Yeah, and this guy was great. The guy in Lewis was great because, you know, he's like, it's for a good cause, you know, he's pointing out, you know, that this is, they raised the year we did it in the first year we did it in Lewis, Delaware, they raised $40,000
This is-
just on the auction. Keep in mind, this is a
This-
high
West Delaware is
end
like an
community.
anomaly, but I mean, most
So
of them raise.
people got a lot of
around
money there.
$5,000-6,000, which is like 2 or 3 team registrations where you didn't have
Yeah.
to do anything. That's now all.
We haven't,
Yeah.
but I have auction.
But- In Mobile, you raised a lot, didn't you?
That was
Yeah,
another.
in
that was
Mobile we did.
another
Yeah,
anomaly
a
of
lot. Yeah.
Highly.
Yeah.
Motivated, a small group of committee members that were highly motivated and very well connected to their community. So they were able to tap into their people in that community and, you know, just. They also gave them the perception that raising money was mandatory. They never did anything.
Yeah, we'll
to
get back to that in a
penalize
minute, I
team
promise.
for it. But they always rewarded a team for, you know, if you raise so much money, you get something, you know, you get a little something, raise more, you get a nice shirt, and they had some pretty nice swag items that
Mhm.
were, you know,
Yeah.
well worth it, so.
Yeah, so since we brought up Mobile, the one thing I want to point out too, that they do there, that that those of you who have already had of the event can do, because I think it's a hard sell the first year. But one things that they would do in Mobile was they built it into their sponsorship packages. So they would have, they would, you know, put it in there as a perk, you know, as a sponsor, that would, and they would, there was a couple of sponsors that, 3 or 4, I think, sponsors that paid for it, that would allow them to have their preferred steerer in rounds 1 and 2 as well. And then, and then you also have the finals one that is aside from the so the sponsorship
Okay.
money, you know, that's just for rounds 1 and 2. Yeah, and then the finals, and then the finals, it was like game over, back to, you know, it's overtime at that point, you know, your money for the sponsorship no longer, you know, it counts. It's, you know, but so they would have sponsors that paid for, and they would actually have to coordinate it with us because they had so many sponsors in Mobile that she would have to tell me before I did the race schedule, so
Sure.
that I would make sure that like me or Chris were in back-to-back races when we had to steer for that particular sponsor. They had so many
You
sponsors
don't
that,
take light of this either, because like in Little Rock, I know Little Rock,
They do it
teams-
too, a little bit.
practice
They do
came
it
up
too.
and said, how do I get you in a boat all day?
they do it there too.
Yeah.
Well, you know. it's
How much money you
fundraisers,
got?
so,
You'll say.
you know, I mean, the money's not going.
What's the average going rate to add to a sponsorship
I'll say that again.
for
Sharon.
that example?
She's asking how much people, I think
I
it's,
think Little Rock did 200 for round 1 and 2, and then.
I
they
thought it
had
was
rebid.
500.
Well, she took whatever money. that they
She
took
kind of
from-
did one of those things where I think it is probably a good idea to have a set amount.
I
because
I was thinking 500 in my mind.
I think,
Yeah.
I think 500 should
But I
be,
just wanted some feedback
I
on
think,
that.
I
before
think 500 should be, exactly. I
Thank-
agree with you, Sharon. I think 500 should be the minimum on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted. That's another bad habit. I
And,
have.
well, no, that's okay. This is what this is all
Can
for.
you do that?
But
in
the other
first
question
year?
is it 500 per round? Or is it
500 for
500
the
total?
first, Second, and then.
Or-
the auction at the
I,
end.
I think for a second year event, 500 total would be good.
Okay. Well, that's
I
true.
think
You
it
can,
depends on how long you've been doing it. and
you
how-
keep jacking it up. You're right. Yeah.
Gotta know your
Well,
people.
I go with them too, you know, I mean, give them what they want and get what you want and no harm, no foul.
So what if you
I
have,
mean,
if you have 5 of them that pay $500, then how do they choose?
Right. I mean, that's the,
That's where you start talking to us about logistics.
yeah,
For-
that's
for
where,
race day
that's
and our
where we have
schedule
to
and how we-
communicate and make sure that we know what steerers are wanted and how we need to
And they
adjust the race.
spread the
schedule.
races out. So the
Well,
teams
but
will
at
all have their.
The first year, unless they come from another venue, they don't have any idea who
Correct.
they're gonna like.
Right. Right.
Oh, no, they will.
They will.
I
if they
promise you after, promise you.
After
Practice,
practice.
they will.
Gonna know.
After
Yeah.
practice, they will.
So they
Yeah.
go in knowing they're gonna pay
Okay.
$500, they just gotta pick which coach they want.
Well, this is something that is kind of above and beyond. I mean, if your normal race day is, here's your practice coach, then round 1, 2, it's whatever coach you get in the boat at that particular time. They may not like either one of those, or they may have liked one of those better than the people that they had in practice. So now you're giving them more ideas to say, well, okay, now at the end, I can actually maybe choose who I want just by paying you some money. Huh, all right, you know, let's be competitive. This is just gonna give us our little edge in the boat, and that's really what people, that little safety blanket is really what they want to make them feel good.
Here's a thought. So
Sharon had different steers on race day. She can tell you.
forget about adding it to the sponsorship for a moment. All the teams, majority of people from each team do show up at practices. So they do get a view of the coaches that are available. So you would tell your people in advance, hey, after you come to the practices, if your team has raised or acquired money from whoever's sponsoring your boat, you know, be prepared after that practice to buy your coach before Sunday and still have the auction at the end.
Oh, that way you get them all competing before.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Just a thought. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure when I share this with my board, they'll tell me as usual, my brain is only thinking and we don't have time to do all this stuff, but some of you have more resources than me.
Well, I think they know after the first year that it will work.
Right, since it's our 8th year, that would totally work for us, for them to go ahead.
Yeah.
Well,
Just a thought.
Goes to it. Our
That's
group
right.
in Fort
That's what I'm
Walton
saying.
And like-
have never done this.
Yeah, and the nice thing for here in Gulfport too is we almost have the exact same staff
Yeah,
every year
Yeah.
too,
yeah,
you know,
But we're gonna have
So-
some local.
so that helps too.
that does help.
Yeah, that helps. Which I actually have a different coach coming to help me during the week in in Oakland this year. She usually helps me in Cumberland, and she actually goes for more than I do in Cumberland the Cumberland Steers auction,
We
so.
only have one other
Don't
staff
tell
member.
anybody that I said that.
I won't tell anybody.
One staff member has outbid Penny and I. Penny and I have gone for like 7,500,
Yeah.
7,800. This little brat has got like $8,000 for 1 year, and we're like,
No, I think I went for more. Was it last year? I think I went for, because I told him that I beat him.
yes,
Yeah.
You
yes.
guys
I
got
mean,
a great person there working for you.
We do feel bad for the steers who don't get bid on, but
well, I mean,
Well, that should teach them.
sorry.
something.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, no kidding.
It's a little bit of fun in the back of the boat. You're a big character. The bigger the character you kind of are, but keep them focused and organized. That's what they want.
But you gotta wanna win too. That's the other thing is as a steerer, you wanna win too. And there are actually things we can do to help you win more with what we're doing back there. Actually, if you've got less ore in the water, for example, and you know, of course, I'm the smallest person in the boat.
I got a few pounds on.
So that helps too, and people know that, but 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 it's also about, you want to win as much as they want to win. I actually, for the first, at Sharon's, the race Sharon does in Oakland, for the first time ever in my career, I was actually taken on the steers auction for both a steer and a drummer. I was taken as a drummer. That never happened to me in 18 years. I won the team that actually won the event. They didn't have a drummer, and in the first race, they were like, Penny, come be our drummer. And I did. And so on the steers auction, instead of getting me first steer, they got me as a drummer. So
Now, one fun
pretty
thing
funny.
that we've seen, and we've seen a lot of things, but one thing that we have seen is that a team bought a steersman and. came
Oh,
up
this
to
is
us
funny.
And said, who is your worst steersman? We want to give it to the CrossFit team. Well, I mean, and the funny thing about it is she wasn't necessarily a bad steersman.
We had just never used her
Right.
before.
But the team was so strong that she kind of like veered off, and we were like, all right, and they still won the damn race. I mean, it was CrossFit's just so strong, and
Right.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
a different group. So if
They
you
are.
we have seen some of our events, just to kind of go on a side note, that are ranked competitive and kind of recreational.
Yeah.
And they kind of keep that division sort of separated.
Those that
Uh,
practice and do
right,
this all
right.
the time.
But in the end, in the finals, you're always racing time against time, so your divisions, they might not win the race, but they're gonna win their division, so you can make it break down. however
So you do division.
Divisions would be great, I think, in our case.
A lot of times our divisions are like
It's versus.
corporation, community,
Thinking about what happened at your event this year.
Like your youth divisions.
I'll tell the story.
But they're thrown into the mix racing, but their divisions, they stay,
Mark
but they're
Runsville.
racing the whole field, which is, they all understand that. And they're good.
I
at
was
that,
all over
so.
the place.
I know
Okay.
Little Rock does a lot of divisions to where it's corporate community and, they have religious, medical, they.
Oh,
break it
yeah.
down to
You can
how
have
they-
categories and then have division awards too. So that's when you make, you kind of like, you have to make sure you have enough teams to do that. But like you could have like, finance division.
Yeah, we've had finance and,
Casino.
industry and
Yeah.
casinos.
Yeah. And then like after the 2 races, you give them like their division awards, and that way they get, more chances to get awards and stuff. Yeah. Another,
In the high schools, we have some great kids that we have, the Hope Squad is just there, which is our.
Oh, that'd be great,
anti-prevention Suicide would be great to get these teams together
mhm,
and have them compete against
Decatur
each
has a
other.
lot.
Yeah.
of,
yeah. High school teams.
And they compete really well with the adults.
Okay,
First of all, the kids are not allowed to drink, so that gives them an advantage going around.
Right.
And you tell them that, they go, yeah, we know.
So
What's the
it's-
age for the kids again, Penny?
The Parents are
What's
on
that?
one team.
The
and
age for the kids, is that 15?
It
Yeah,
depends on
15.
your event.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it
You can do,
Is it
you do-
15 or 14?
It's 15.
Depends on your event.
15,
It's
okay.
15 okay, let me explain this. Now, this is what the information I've gotten from the insurance company that I have used for years and years and years. And some of you use them for waivers and some of you don't. But the company that I use says 15 and up for an adult boat, 12 to 17 for a youth boat. So if you do like a
Okay.
youth division, you can have 12 to 17.
But the
Okay.
boat's the same. It's not a smaller boat, right?
No,
Correct.
So in my case, I have a mountain bike team here.
Yeah.
Those kids are 12 and up. We
Yeah.
could do a boat, they'll just race as a youth boat. I did not
Right.
realize that. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
okay.
Yeah.
Because we're planning to have youth teams this year.
Good.
And like the race in Decatur, they race against all the adults and some of them actually do really, really well
So
and make it to the finals.
since they're racing against everyone, adults and all, it's just like having a separate category. You could say the youth
It falls back
Oh,
in divisions.
got a prize or first or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, do most of your events sell alcohol at the events, or do
A lot
people
do, a lot do.
Bring-
They do here.
Allow them to bring their.
It allows, it depends if your
Ours
venue
is
allows
that-
you to.
That's right. Our venue is right down the road, the dock, and it's
Mhm.
just a venue place. They just do special events. And so they don't charge us for using it. But they sell all the alcohol. They get all the proceeds from the alcohol.
Which
They
is
give
a
you
lot.
Percentage of that.
No, we don't, no, because they're giving us the venue for free.
Mhm,
So that's the only money they're making.
mhm.
But I think we have a couple of.
If you could get a percentage, that would be great.
We got a percentage over what we.
Oh,
sold
did you?
of our
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know I don't have a breakdown of all the numbers, but they did give us something.
So when, just a funny story I have to tell, because when Chris was talking about the steers auction and how they paid for the least experienced. Well, last year we had something happen for the first time ever at here in Gulfport when Mark, one of our steers. So he was actually going to join us for this meeting. We could have really let him tell the story himself, but he had, I think the Coca-Cola team, and he took them off course and
Oh, yeah.
ran into another boat.
Yeah.
And so at the steers auction, one of the teams said that they said, we're gonna, they won the steers auction. And then we said, okay, which steer do you want? And they said, we want him, the guy who went off course. And it was the funniest thing ever. So, yeah, that was the first time ever. Anyway, that was funny. I had to tell that story because it was just funny. Okay, so let me circle back because we went way off course earlier and you guys and you ladies had asked this question and then we went on some tangent about pledges and how to ask for pledges and how to get that started. So let me go back and talk about, so you were talking about like when they register, okay, back to this. But when they register, and of course, if you have online registration for teams, obviously that is the way to go because they can, it's easy for them, the easier for them, the better. And so what I used to do when I helped with the team management was there's, if you have, I think I used WordPress and the online forms that you can use, online contact forms that you use with WordPress. And after so you can set it up in there so that once they fill out the registration form and then obviously then you get the email saying they registered. Well, you can like set up an auto email that goes back to them. And so in that auto email, I would put like a, welcome to the blah, blah Dragon Boat Rest Festival. We have received your registration, blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing on there would be, giving them sort of a bullet point list of here's what you need to do now. And like one thing is sign up for a practice session, and you want to get that set up. I like for people, if you can, for people to get it set up early on, like right when they register, and then you can kind of have them get that done out of the way. And then have on there, this is a fundraiser. We are raising money, blah, blah, blah. Each team should have a goal of $2,000 per boat to raise for the cause. And then here's the call, and then put, this is your cause, and this is what we do. In that way, and like I said earlier, it's sort of making it sound like it's mandatory, but you're not telling them, you're not saying that it's mandatory,
Mandating.
but it's right, but
Don't
it's,
penalize them for not.
No,
Right.
exactly.
Reward them
but
for-
don't say either way. Just say each team.
Want to.
Yeah, don't say if you want to, right? Just say each
Each
team
sets the goal of
sets the goal of,
$2,000. Yeah.
right,
And then give them suggestions on
That's the
how
goal.
to.
right.
She's
Yeah,
got
and then, right,
suggestions
and
in
there's
there.
suggestions in here about, here's how to, you can send them fact sheets, like, the thing that's in here of the suggestions of how to raise that money. You could create a fact sheet out of that and say, fact sheets of raising money. You could have a fact sheet of, dragon boat racing or, that kind of thing too. I usually like to send them, at some point. The thing is too, with what I call team management is not just after they register, you want to communicate, like Mignon, she has an early registration deadline. So, and the $100 fee off.
Mhm.
So, you know, for her, she could send an email to people and say, early registration deadline is coming up
And I
February
do.
24th, right, and you do. And then say, you know, and then the $100 off thing, you know, don't forget, you can get $100 off. And so throughout the course of your team management, from the time that they sign up to the time, you should have conceivably, if you can, send them anywhere from 4 to 8 emails. You know, obviously, as you get closer, you're sending more emails. But you want to kind of get them on the pledges and kind of get that in their head that this is what you're expected to do.
Can I interject here?
Yeah, please, Linda.
We use Charity Web. And
Yeah.
I know we pay a small fee,
Mhm.
but it really helps because the team captain goes in and sets up her team page and then sends out notices to her team members, who in turn set up their team page or individual page, and they can send emails out to all their prospect for fundraising.
Ah.
Yeah, it's really easy. We don't have to do anything. And the team members who want to really, you know, get in there and raise funds, I mean, we get funds raising from Washington, DC and Washington State, but we make a challenge that the team that raises the most above their registration then gets a free tent the next year. You know, we don't provide tents for all the teams, but we do for our major sponsor and the team that's raised the most funds. And we also provide them with lunch. So
we-
that's,
A free tent. Is
they get
that-
that's a free tent. So they don't have to worry about bringing bringing a tent and all. We have it, their
Every
tent.
They set it up for them.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah.
that's next year.
Yes.
That's for the next year, the team that raised the most money above their registration fee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you do it like, put their logo on it or anything? Make it,
No, I mean, if they want to bring a banner and put, or whatever on it, but we just, in fact, we used to rent them, but, they've gone up on the rental so much that we came out easier buying a tent.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's smarter.
Yeah, we have a tent.
But then you have.
So when we did ours for the
Yeah.
first time, teams had to bring their own tent and set it up, which no one seemed to mind doing.
Yeah.
They brought their own food, you know, they brought grills and coolers and they liked doing that. And for a website, we're cheap. We didn't want to spend any money. We used a free website out there. It's called betterworld.org. And we use that for other fundraisers now as well, since we've discovered that website. But it's very user friendly to learn. You know, it doesn't take an IT rocket scientist to figure out how to set it up. And when we first started using betterworld.org, I even called the guy who developed it and got him on the phone for 2 hours just to make sure I knew what we were getting. He was very helpful. So that betterworld.org for first timers, explore that, bring their own tents, didn't seem to be a problem, bring their own food, no problem. I do like the suggestion though, now that we can look back at our teams and see who raised the most last year. I think when we go live, as I'll call it, in communicating this, we'll take advantage of that and surprise them and say, hey, guess what? You guys were first. You know, to me, doing almost spreads the action, the enthusiasm better than giving them something to read. Like, look what we did last year. Now look what we get.
I have a quick question for you, Sharon, and you, Minion, anybody that can answer it. About, do you get many people coming to watch the practice sessions?
not the practice so much, because
We didn't get a lot of people there. Our event is held at a local park. And there were actually people walking their dogs and things when this was going on. And some of them stopped me and said, you know, why didn't I know about this? Like to sign up. And what I found was, like, that particular person was from the hospital. They had actually sponsored this, but the hospital didn't communicate it.
Oh,
So this was
yeah.
another challenge I ran into.
That is a
These
challenge.
Big companies, corporations, sure, they'll write you a check, they'll sign it. But if, you know, if the HR department's on vacation that day, I guess, it all goes down the tubes from there. So,
Our major sponsor is Northside Hospital, their cancer foundation. And we give them 2 teams
yeah, yeah.
as part
Well,
of their
we gave them a
sponsorship.
team too, but they never told anybody.
They didn't tell
Oh, well,
anybody, right?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, well, these,
So we need to work harder at that, but you're
Maybe-
gonna find other areas when you do this for the first time, that's just how you learn it.
Maybe like a sample letter, you know, that you could create when you bring them on as a sponsor and that says, you know, what it is for them to share with,
Yeah.
you know, the other thing
Yeah,
is I
like
think
the-
you have
like
to
the
get the right
Team
captain.
captain gets a package, the
Captain.
sponsorship needs to get a package of how to make it easy for them to communicate. I don't think it's that they don't want to. I think they just get caught up in whatever they're doing. They forget about it.
Or flyer, maybe a flyer.
90% of the people are followers, so you've got to lead them down the path. So you got to tell them what to do because they don't
yeah,
know.
It's right. It's really key to have a captain who is active and who will communicate. And that's another thing, like maybe with your team management, you could have suggestions on how the team captain can get information to get teams out, maybe like a put flyer in the break room, or, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So I think it's almost one of those things where you have to almost lead them sort
I
of.
would suggest one of the best things to do also, one of the best things for me anyways, video. So if you have
Yeah.
a video example of how people can.
That's
do
a good
something,
idea.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
It's great.
We have a video, Mississippi Power filmed one of the Dragon Boat races, so we share that.
there we
out.
go.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all have it on your website, some video races, some races of.
Yeah. What I've done is, there's like a page on there that I think says press/video on one of the pages on the website. And it's sort of like news coverage, the best news coverage essentially that I've been able to find from after we've done a race. And those are, there's one in particular, I have to look and see which one it is, that really sort of sells the event. I think it shows, it's Texarkana. That's what it was last year from Texarkana. And it's on, I've put it on that particular page on the racedragonboats.com website. And it's on the press video area or whatever. And if you click on the Texarkana video, it literally shows like everything from the racing to people having fun to people loading, you know, it just shows like everything that you will see at a dragon boat race. Yeah, it's really, yeah. You just click on the link. Yeah, you just click on the link. And I don't know if you're familiar with how YouTube and all that works, because I think it might be on YouTube. I can't remember, but like you can embed the video and then put it on your, you know, wherever you need to. So, or a link to it. Right. Yeah, exactly.
And we
One-
did- in
now-
December, I sent out save the date, you know.
Yeah.
every time, so
Right.
everybody's aware of what's coming.
What date it is.
So,
Well, at least people get talking.
Yes.
yeah, the betterworld.org, does that offer the opportunity like Charity Web does to, for each team member to go in, or each captain?
In my personal opinion, betterworld.org is free, but not robust.
Okay.
So, for example, if you want a robust system to manage the teams, do everything, that's going to cost money. It just is. And we weren't in the place to spend that money. So what I did is, it gave us a place for everyone to register, you know, accept their credit cards and all that good stuff. It gave us a place to describe the event, market it a little bit. It gave us a place, I was able to develop emails, like standard emails in it, so that once someone registered, an email would go out to them. I kept that email to maybe 2 paragraphs. You know, you can't write a novel in this website. And it was like, thank you for registering. do this next, send this person your email, remember these next key dates. And then what happened is those people started contacting me by email. And then I kind of did, I built their team rosters and things and sent them back to them in Excel and whatever format you happen to know how to do. So it was more work for me, but it was free for the organization. It stores the information. I can go back and look and see who the teams were, who registered, how much money they gave. I went overboard in answering your question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Linda, does Charity Web, it does allow you to set up the teams or for the team captains to do that.
The
And-
team captains go in,
Okay.
they have two options. They can either pay for the whole team at one time,
Okay.
or they can just pay for themselves as team captain and send out the emails to the team members who would go in and pay for their portion of the registration.
Right on that. And then you pay, then Charity Web gets a percentage of that.
It's about 2%.
Okay, all right.
And
then
then
do you-
there's and it's all deposited in your checking account. You know, I don't have to keep up with anything.
Yeah, did you have to pay, do you have to pay for that web program as well on top of the 2%?
Well, we have a GoDaddy website,
Okay.
and Charity Web is, the registration is built into that. And also last year, which I found very helpful, I think we use the same insurance
Okay, all right.
company you do, Penny.
Yeah,
And they put the waivers on there. So the waiver, I never touched a
we had
waiver
waivers
last
on
year
ours.
at all.
Yeah.
Which was, that was the best,
Fabulous.
that was fabulous.
Yeah, Better World, we
Oh.
did the same thing. We had the two options. They could leave a deposit or they could pay the whole thing. And we had the waivers were accessible to them also, and that was all printed out electronically for us.
Okay.
And they did that. Better World gets a percentage. I don't know what it is. I think the percentage is based on what the person in the website says to give them, like, hey, I'm gonna give you guys an extra $3 today, or I'm gonna give you extra $5. Yeah, so that's kind of how they get their money. It's up to, or you can say, no, I'm gonna use this service, this online web site, and I don't want to give you any money, and it still works.
Okay.
so Linda, you said that Charity Web does that part of it, and then you have GoDaddy, but you probably.
That's my website. That is
Yeah.
on
Get
GoDaddy.
registered through GoDaddy, but then you have to edit your website with what, WordPress or something?
No, I just go in there and edit it on
On
GoDaddy.
GoDaddy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know you could do that.
GoDaddy has.
Yes, I do. My daughter taught me how to do it. Mama does it now.
I'm a GoDaddy customer too, but I have a
Yeah,
web hosting company, so I use mine's through WordPress. So I was
Okay,
curious about that.
no, I go in and change every year the dates. We change pictures, we do whatever. Yeah.
I did not know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And,
Sure,
but then-
Everybody,
but then-
that's why I love this workshop.
I know, but then you go in and it's got a place where you have to register.
Edit. Yeah. The-
And when they click on that, it
Name.
takes them to the Charity Web forms. Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably an app. that
Like
it's
a-
going to,
mhm.
and
Wow.
it's probably all-
All these fancy things I didn't know about. Well, okay.
Well, and if I can learn how to do it.
Well, yeah. I use WordPress because my web host uses, that's how they, use
Do it.
WordPress. Yeah, do it. And it's, I do love WordPress though. It's great. Yeah, there's been some chat going on actually. If you click on that, you can see. Real quick, I actually had made notes in sometimes during the season when we're actually in it, in the thick of it, sometimes something will come up and I'll think, oh my gosh, we've got to talk about this at the workshop, and I'll make notes in my phone, in my calendar. And so I looked in my calendar just now because I thought, I know I have notes in here, so I want to back up. Yeah, so I actually have, yeah, I know. Because if I don't remember, I never remember. The only way I remember.
I don't remember.
I've been known to do that on race day itself, actually, too, when I have a moment to do it. But so I made a note, and so I'm going to back up and talk about the steers auction again, because I made a note to talk about one particular client's method on the steers auction, which is, this is why, Chris, I said that I've gone for more than 8,000.
Oh, okay,
Akron.
okay.
So Akron's method is different than anybody else's on the steers auction. And the client we work with there, it's a breast cancer charity, and they actually have a breast cancer dragon boat team. Like, they are
Well, that is the charity.
competitors
They
too,
are.
right? They are the charity. And the person who puts on the event there, her name is Sarah Eddy. And she's actually steered at a couple of our races too. She's steered at the Cumberland, Maryland race, which is close to where Sharon is, but not the same venue. It's a different, it's actually how we got the Oakland race, actually. But Sarah works with us, and so she's worked with us, and she's seen steers auctions, obviously, because she steers with us. And she has, and she organizes this Akron race. So she kind of gets, to see all sides and all the best of both worlds. Now, let me just also say that I think in her case, she is basically, you got to know, every community is different. I mean, we go to these, you got to figure out what it is that's going to work, basically. And that's what she did, essentially. So they have, obviously, teams that practice. And this one team, it's Merrill Lynch. So they got some money, and they were very competitive. And they also, on the steers auction, long story short, she basically figured out the method that would work the best. And so there are other teams that also, wanted a certain steerer, whatever. And so the way she did it was, she sent an email to the teams and said, basically, they're all going to bid for the steerer that they want that day, and they have them all day long. First round, second round, finals, all day long.
Wow.
But it's only one. You don't get, so instead of,
So one team can have you all day and Chris all day. It's only one steerer that gets that.
and it's only one team that gets it too. So
Oh.
only one team gets to pick,
Okay.
and it's the highest bidder. And she does it in advance.
It's a blind bid.
And it's like it's a blind bidding. It's so funny too, because the team captain came up to me and she was like, oh, I hope we raise enough money or whatever. And I asked Sarah one day, I said, is anybody else even close to them? And she was like, nope, but they don't know this, because other teams are like, they want to have that
for a certain period of time.
yeah,
and
then closes it.
Mhm.
And they raised $15,000, and they got the one steerer and the one person all day long, and that was it. And she's done. She doesn't have to do
The auction. at the
anything,
end,
right? You don't
anything.
have to do any of the other stuff. She just boom, and you're done.
Clearly, I gotta start stepping up my game.
So does that include the practices?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have to coach them in practice too. Mhm.
So the practices,
Like
like first,
I
second.
need to learn more
Yeah.
about that.
I'm assigned to them, basically. I'm assigned to them the whole time.
Which
The
is.
practices, race day, everything.
But don't limit yourself.
I'm their-
I mean,
I'm their bitch.
Big as you gotta stand.
Well, that was the way it worked for her.
Oh, Linda's dog's getting
So-
in the call here.
She sat here quietly for too long. Now it's time to move around.
Chris, what were you saying?
I was just saying, back to the point of, don't just limit to one team, make this thing as big as you can make it. I mean,
Or 3 teams get. that
Well,
favorite, or-
well, yeah, however you want to structure it, but I'm just pointing out that. We need to do she needs to do at least a second one. Come on. That way she could get 15,000 and then 10,000 or 12,000 or something, and then she
like
could
that
do a
idea.
second one. But that way, I mean, the thing is, like you said, you're doing all this work to do the big steers auction, or even the sponsorship things, and you're maybe making 5,000 or 6,000, 7,000 at the most, or something like that. When she's doing boom and she's got 15,000.
But
And
that's
it's done
only one
over with,
team.
it's
The
done
others
over.
had an option to do like a regular steers auction too then.
No,
They
she
don't.
she does that.
That's it, she's done. And maybe, it's just maybe her preferences as a planner, that's just the best way she wants, I'm saying, you could do any variation on it,
Club crews that come in there.
She does, and they have their own steerers.
Right.
Yeah.
So really doing a traditional steers auction.
It's
doesn't
not as
necessarily
effective.
work Because
Yeah.
there are another 6 steersmen onto our staff members that are now involved.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
belong to those teams.
Yeah.
that came
Yeah.
from.
that
Yeah.
only steer,
And
they
then
only
those-
steer for those teams.
Anyway.
They don't, right,
No, they don't.
they're assigned to them anyway, right.
And they're not gonna raise money because they're club crews going to a whole bunch of different races anyhow, so that's where all their money goes.
But you could do it, like I said, on any variation of that. I mean, like I said, you could do 1, 2, and 3 or something like that, first, second, third or something. I mean, but I just thought it was very, a good idea
I like
because
how it's done and then you're done.
you're
You don't
done,
have to fool with
right,
the
you're
rest
done,
of
you
it.
don't have to
The day
mess
of
with
the
anything
race,
else.
It's too big to give it 1,
Mhm.
2, and 3.
I think 1, 2, and 3 would be good. That way you have more money.
Starting out, and everybody's trying to get introduced and like just limited it to 1 because they raise the most money kind of
Mhm.
thing.
It
Right.
cuts everybody
Take
else
that
out, yeah.
away And just say, this is just another form of
Yeah.
fundraising for us. And
Yeah.
so, but the 1, 2, first, second, third team, so that really gives you an option. I don't get the big one, but I may still.
Okay, so.
You can even call it gold, silver, bronze sponsor or something like that,
I've got a question. Do they do that plus pledges?
No,
Oh,
not in Akron. They don't do pledges in Akron.
Right,
I don't believe.
I don't think.
I don't
so
think
either.
they do. Yeah, because it's a lot of club crews are not gonna raise your money. I'll just tell you right now.
Okay.
Club
that's-
crews are not gonna raise money for you.
But like in our area, we wouldn't have a lot of club.
No,
No.
So
We
you
don't have it all.
no.
Well, I don't know, you guys
You
are
wanna
in
come?
Florida. You guys got Florida. I mean.
There are a lot of
Bill
Florida
Trail,
teams. Yeah.
You can reach out to the villages, you can reach out to, there's a lot of club crew teams and you might get a whole.
That's what I need to reach out to. Florida's not that
Tampa?
far from
How far are
here.
you from Tampa? You're like
Oh, Tampa,
7 hours. Okay. There are a bunch of
5
teams in
hours to
Tampa.
Gainesville.
There are a bunch of teams in Tampa in the area.
And the villages.
In the villages, which would be closer.
Villages are on the other side of Ocala.
Mm.
They're
Some of them
at
will go
least
that far.
5, 6, 7 hours away.
Some of them will come that far.
Yeah, if you guys got a little bit of a destination, they'll wanna go play.
Oh, yeah.
They-
We pulled,
See-
we pulled a Harley Davidson hog group out of St. Augustine, so.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Nice.
In where Sharon is located near Oakland, there's not only the Pittsburgh teams, but there's some Baltimore club teams also. And that's not far at all from her. And there are actually some DC. I mean, they could actually pull, she's not even on the call. I don't see her anyway, but she could actually get. If you hear me, Sharon, yeah, you got. I
I'm
was-
trying to take tree ornaments off my tree, but the computer is right in this room here.
He's such a multitasker.
Tell you about it.
He's such a multitasker. Yeah.
I heard you, we reached out to Pittsburgh. I reached out to a lot of Baltimore teams. They didn't come.
Oh, you did? Oh,
I
okay.
did,
There are a few Baltimore teams that come to Cumberland.
yeah.
And there's some teams in DC also.
Yeah, I might, yeah, I mean, I went online and searched for teams, Baltimore, PA, you can find the list if you Google them.
Yeah,
The
Right,
bad thing
right.
about club crew teams is they don't like the short races. They want the big, long races, 500
Yeah.
meters.
Sure, I would have.
Well, let me also say, when my local teams saw there was a professional team from Pittsburgh,
they freaked out.
they were like really down.
They
I
did.
mean, they had been talking about, oh, we're gonna, but you know, that Pittsburgh team, I know they held back. They were great. They were great.
Good for them.
I mean, they were nice. They were there to have fun. They win all the time.
In this last place.
Really?
Yeah.
Linda, go ahead.
There were a lot of women on the team and they were,
Linda, go
yeah.
ahead.
Sorry, Linda.
Oh, that's okay. No,
We're
we
doing a
had
five over here.
Charlotte came in last year, participated,
Yeah,
and they used that as a race for their beginners on their club team
yeah.
to get them familiar with what a race was about and everything. Because, yeah, we are a short distance racing course. And you're right, most of them prefer a longer course.
Charlotte likes a short course, actually.
Do
though.
they?
Yeah,
Well-
they do. They like the 200.
Yeah,
That's how long the courses are.
200 meters
It feels
usually.
lot.
Yeah,
We're
but-
working on both
It's
ends.
attack.
the thing about it with us, we give an award to the team that has the best time for the day. It's not a total time, but it's the best of one heat, whatever heat has the best time. Their name is put on a plaque that goes in our mayor's office.
Oh.
So therefore we had with Charlotte, I had to let them understand that their name was not going on that plaque because they're not a local team. They did get first place ribbons, but our local team that came in right under them got the name on the plaque.
Yeah.
Because we had a problem before with a competitive team.
And it was a close race. You would be
It was very-
surprised. You'd be surprised at how well the
Local team.
local inexperienced teams can do against the
Each
club
other.
teams. All right, if I can we do like a 10-minute timeout break here, a little bathroom break, and we need to check on our lunch stuff that we have here too. And but I definitely need a little bathroom break myself. So if we can do a little,
5 minutes.
yeah,
10
5 minutes, 10 minutes, and we'll see y'all in just a
That'll give
minute,
us a
okay?
chance to put our,
With this being recorded, can other people have access to it?
Yes, I've had some people request that we record it because they couldn't make the meeting today, and if we recorded, they could see it otherwise. See it when they, on in their leisure or whatever. And Lynn's taking notes also, so
Okay.
we've got a backup as well.
I've got a couple of new board members that I would like to be able to see it
Yeah.
or hear it.
Mhm. I am recording it and I will send it out to everybody when we're done.
Okay.
The recording, yeah. All right, I don't remember what we were talking about because we were jumping around. Okay,
We were talking about the.
oh, she's talking about the
Oh, show the,
oh yeah, Mignon is gonna show the trophy paddles that we were talking about trophies, I think, and stuff like that, and Mignon's gonna show one of the trophy paddles.
So this is, y'all can see it.
Mm.
Nice looking. Very nice.
So we have schools, high school art classes. Each year we pick a different school and they paint the paddles for us. We supply the paddles. And we order the plaques, but they use their own paints and their own ideas. And because we're on the coast, most of them are coastal themed. But I don't know, I think it was the first year they had dragons on them, and I'm going back to that. I like the dragons.
Mhm.
It brings the whole thing together, and so. We ordered stencils and we're gonna play with a couple and
Cool.
Well, why not?
Arts
give
and
the
crafts day at
schools
the
the
office.
stencils and then let them color.
that's what we're thinking.
Okay.
Where did you order stencils?
Amazon.
Yeah, you can get them just about anywhere. So.
So my son has a dragon tattoo, and the other day I'm texting him, I'm like, send me a picture of your dragon tattoo, and he's like, why, mom? I know why. So I told him, and then he referred me to this website that had a lot of dragons, different things, but it's a tattoo site for
Yeah.
pictures, and he said, Mom, you could enlarge them and they're not gonna lose their thing. I went, so anyway. We didn't find the stencil we ordered from there, but one we liked. The problem, the other girls who are working on the trophies in our office. One's an artist and she's worried about this, it bleeding through, like if they, the stencils. I mean, she's like, they have to be taped on really good and you can't use a lot of paint or it's just gonna bleed out, and she's just getting all into it. Spray paint, she said, is the best using a stencil.
Huh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, Chris does that.
so then I'm thinking, okay, maybe if we did them all certain color and then let them embellish them.
Mhm.
Well, why not just draw use your stencil, draw the pencil on the paddle and then just give them
The stencil already drawn on there
a
and the
coloring
paint.
picture.
Yeah.
It's the color of the paddle. And this is our stencil that we want.
Yeah.
Put
that's
your
a good
logo
idea.
on there, that way they could do different colors for each letters.
Right.
And then whatever the background they wanted to do, but that way your logo, your dragon is pronounced out front.
Gotcha.
So long as it doesn't get too, and then that way she doesn't have to worry about, the taping of it. And if they do, then they just do their own. And they have to use masking tape, cut it all up, do the small,
Right.
go around those angles.
That's a good idea. If we already drew it on the paddle form and then let them, yeah.
Color around it or
Right.
make designs around it.
Right, that way if they wanna airbrush it, paint it
However,
by hand, they have the opportunity, then if they wanna outline it, however they wanna, it's up to them.
that's a
So,
great idea, because I don't want them all the same. I
Right.
don't want them all
Right.
have a dragon, but I want them to be
well, you
unique.
want the paddle to be somewhat similar, but you want each individual paddle
That's
to be
correct.
unique, right.
Yep. I like that idea, Chris.
Well, I think that kind of brings us into a good subject matter, talking about getting the community involved with the event, because that's a great way to get the community involved, because you may or may not be able to get a team out of it too. I mean, sometimes you can and sometimes you might not be able to, but I think that resources and using your resources as much as possible in the community is very, very important for an event like this, and thinking kind of outside the box too. One of the things that kind of I think some places have kind of gotten away from, but it used to, I think early on, seems like I saw more of this, but like things that to also incorporate like the culture into the Dragon Boat Festival. Like first year here, somebody did a lion dance. I don't remember who did that, but there's it's a Chinese, it's called the lion dance. It's a Chinese, they do it at the New Year, which is around this time of year actually. Like martial arts type things, like who was it I was thinking that does a good
Fort Wayne has.
has a good
They
one.
have the
That's
Chinese
right.
family,
Association. Yeah,
Decatur has a big.
Decatur has a real big one.
Influence in that community, too, and they have the drum line. That's
Yeah.
kinda cool.
In Cumberland, Maryland, they do a drum line there. Yeah, just the kids from the local high school again. Yeah.
And we have a little drum in Bay St. Louis, that's a little drum organization, and we
Oh.
tried getting them last year.
That's
but
right.
It was the weekend they couldn't, but I'm gonna try and get them again.
Mhm.
You do it early. enough.
Florence, Alabama uses their local college team to come down, and the drum corps does a performance.
Yeah.
at lunchtime.
We got that F-35 fly over.
Oh,
Had a philosophy of.
Go big or go home.
Wow,
Yeah.
or it's
wow, or it's not worth doing. Is that what it was?
Really?
That was there.
It's gotta be wow or.
But that's
not at all.
exactly what works,
Well-
because people go, whoa.
Well, I thought you were going to explain what they did that one year.
So they had 3 planes from Pensacola fly over. One was like an old Russian bomber, propeller bomber. They had, and they're all flying streamers, but they had a Mustang. They had
Well, they had the guys who jumped from the,
that was
remember?
here as well.
Yeah.
And
They jumped from a plane and landed on the on land.
Cool.
Yeah.
I used to stay in that area that weekend. We have to see if they can fly it for us.
Oh, yeah.
But
These guys at parachute are so amazing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they parachuted out.
It's the same group of parachuters that they typically fly into the arenas.
You got connections. You do have connections. Yeah, cool. That would be awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, or not at all. Yeah. One year they did daytime fireworks, daytime fireworks. Yeah, I've got a picture somewhere. Yeah, black powder. It was, they they shot it off from a, oh, for sure. They shot it off from a barge. And that is the thing about it was, I think sometimes you can overexpense your event.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is people know you're doing it for a charity, and if you do something like that, and everybody knows how expensive fireworks are, I would think that's really defeating
The purpose
image
of
you're
what
putting
you're,
out that
yeah.
you're trying to
Unless
raise
you
money.
got the chamber or the city to provide.
Sponsor,
Like
yeah.
Shalimar.
Now, who does?
Little Rock does a Friday night thing, which we do need to talk about Friday night thing. Saturday, Friday night kind of kick off. And they do fireworks, but it's sponsored
Yeah.
by
Get past
somebody. Yeah. Somebody does sponsor that, the city.
Takes care of that one.
Well,
Talk about your Friday night thing.
So we have a Friday night event to kick off our,
So we were just saying, we could
Dragon
do that
boat.
Saturday night, have a
And then Sunday,
festival type thing on Saturday afternoon and evening and then go into the
Sunday race
Sunday
day.
races or something.
So-
Not our first.
So,
year.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I don't think anybody's ever done it the first year. Anything.
that's what we do. We let them come to the tent of Friday night. And then we have
Kind of a small party.
we have a crawfish boil, and this year we're doing either.
Crawfish.
pizza,
Kathy's coming for that. You guys should put April 29th on your calendar though, seriously, and come over and see the festival here.
April?
April 29th, yeah. And the Friday night before is the
Crawfish bowl,
crawfish
and we're
boil.
gonna add pizza or something else.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
eats crawfish.
Yeah,
We're talking
yeah.
about doing
Like
that.
Kathy.
So we're gonna have some other type of food. And it's a couple hours, and we have our MC, and they set up and play music, and so that's Friday, just to get everybody, like you said, kind of in the mood and
Well,
get
you'll
them.
have our email addresses, so you can send us a friendly reminder.
I will.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in.
I will. And then Saturday is our main event, and we have one of our companies that that's in is, they have a cooking team. So they come out, the cooking team comes out Saturday and cooks hamburgers and hot dogs for free for us. but
Yeah.
we get the proceeds from it. So
And they
if
get
you
the
have
proceeds.
any kind of cooking teams that will donate the food and sell it, and that's another way to raise some money.
Mhm.
And then this year, we're gonna have a couple of food trucks. Now, they'll just pay a vendor's fee, and we don't get any proceeds from that. They just pay their fee, and then everything else is theirs.
Mhm.
So the 30th is your actual race?
29th.
29th is the
29th.
race.
That's a
Yeah.
Saturday. We do ours on a Saturday.
And
so
they
when I
get, and they
picked
get
the day-
started a little bit later,
So
like at
we
10,
time on
because we're on Gulf
Friday.
Coast time.
What happens on Friday? Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Friday
We on
set
Gulf
up.
Coast
is-
time.
we
We
call
go.
A tent village, where they come and set their tents up, and like I said, we have a crawfish boil, and the bar's open, and that's basically it. And then we.
Yeah,
kick
you don't
off-
have to do it, like you said, you don't have to overdo it. You know,
No, it's
you
just kind of just get everybody pumped up and excited.
Oh, yeah, I would think that
Okay.
that's what we're talking about.
and they drink, so, you
Yeah,
know,
they do.
that's the thing, the bar's open, so
Yeah.
that, I think
And then
that
they're
helps.
also watching the last practices going on
Oh,
Friday
you
night.
do.
Yeah. Right, they got to show because
That's
they're kind of
different.
watching
You know,
practice.
there's
That's the
practice.
entertainment.
Watch that.
That's part of the entertainment, because they can see how the other teams are doing.
You Come and play.
There you go.
Yeah,
You Get a band.
yeah, Little Rock does a band that Friday night. They do have a band that comes. They have a big amphitheater and
Like my
stuff.
bosses say, we're cheap, so we do everything on the low.
But you know, it's.
That's okay though.
What you're saying though, the Friday, the night before, the day before, when you got the races going on, if you could come up with some other activities going on that day. And we were just talking about doing a festival of some sort that day.
You know, the
And the races-
Pensacola one
practices
had
are
other,
happening.
yeah, they had other vendors there selling stuff. They wasn't just food. They had, I think, jewelry, they had other.
Mhm.
Yeah, sure.
Pensacola
Yeah.
open your vendors
Yeah,
up
they
to
have a bunch of
whatever, you know,
vendors.
I mean,
How do you
come in.
start that?
5, I think it is. It would go to like 8 o'clock.
Mhm.
Our space isn't huge. I don't want to clutter it with vendors. One year we had people come out, they heard about it, I don't know how, and just decided to set up their own little booth and try and sell their stuff. Do you remember that? This man, they were by the Coke booth. They came and set up a table and a little wooden cross.
had-
All that.
I
and-
had to turn away a vendor last year.
Okay.
I did. They came, same thing, and I just had to go over and tell them I was really sorry. But my other vendors had paid for the spot. And they were actually in competition with one of my vendors. So that comes every year, the Cool Shave guy. And I didn't want, you know, I hated to do it, but you know.
Well, we had no other vendors at that time. They just decided to pull up and put their stuff.
It's a place for us to sell.
That's what it was. We're On a main, on this road, so you have to
Yeah.
know where you're going.
You have to
get back
know,
up in there, you
yeah,
know.
you have to know. That's crazy.
Can I interject about community involvement?
9? Oh, we did 9
9.
this year, didn't we? We got off Gulf Coast, hon. Go ahead, Linda, sorry.
Oh, we're a little bit different in that we're a county event more so than a city event. And so therefore we involve all the little cities in our county.
Yeah, this is
by,
cool.
yeah, we have what we call the mayor's race.
Mayor's
And
Cup.
Mayor's Cup, yes. And we have 5 or 6 cities that have a team.
Mhm.
They pay a fee. It's a lot less than the regular registration because they only race one time. And we have a
And it's
cup.
not part of the timed part.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, it's not part of it's not competing against the other teams. They're just competing against the city teams. And they have a cup that they pass around every year.
Okay.
And so it really gets the other communities involved in
It's
the
cool.
race, the
Mhm.
festival.
Cool.
Yeah. But we're different in the fact that, you know, we're a county with cities that have populations of 50,000 people.
She's in almost the greater Atlanta metro area,
yeah.
sort of.
Yeah.
Still a small community.
But a small community within that. Okay, so tell them you gotta tell them the claim to fame with Ackworth, Linda.
Claim to fame. I don't
Net-
know.
Ozark. Ozark, you know this, right? The show Ozark on Netflix was filmed in Ackworth.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You
Know
didn't
that. No, I didn't.
That's a great show, Ozark.
Yeah, no, I did not know that,
Yeah,
but
it's a
it's a very good community. It's on a large lake, but we're at
Yeah,
a,
it's filmed in
we're
Ackworth.
at a city park. So thankfully we can't have alcohol, which, for us works out very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might not make a lot of money from, but anyway, it's, so the city that hosts the event, they never win the best city. They never win the Mayor's Cup.
They need to practice.
They do, they do.
Yeah, it may have been Charlotte who told me that Ozark was filmed at
Oh, I didn't know it.
Ackworth. Yeah, yeah. Charlotte loves that show. A friend of ours named Charlotte who does the finish
Oh.
line.
Oh, okay.
so she does finish line at your race. She's worked this race here. She was
Yeah.
marshaling, I think, here last
I'd
year.
like to say one thing about Linda's race in Ackworth, and this goes to the point of volunteers.
Yeah.
She has gone
Yeah.
out and recruited the junior ROTC to load boats on the beach and keep the boats clean, bailed water. And I'm telling you what, these kids working on the boats down in that water, they're phenomenal. I mean, they are just, I would love to give them a team and just allow them to race.
Oh, they took them out this year. One of the guys, I can't remember who it was, but Alex, I think, took them out for a
Yeah.
paddle this year
Yeah.
and let
Well,
them go after the race.
This year we are recruiting a team from, we're trying to recruit at least three youth teams, and that's part of it.
Good,
So
good.
I'm hoping it's not going to take away from our volunteers that load the boat.
Yeah,
I'm
We're
liking
great, you too.
this youth team thing, because
yeah,
we've
mhm,
had a lot of people ask, my
Yeah.
kids want to do, so
yeah.
would they?
Yeah.
Compete in the final, the whole?
You know,
thing, or-
you can do it either way.
Sure.
You know what? You can do it any way you want. You could have them have their own division and their own final if you want. I mean, this is your event. You make your event what you want it to be. And you could either make it have a youth division, have them have their own final, their own race and their own trophies and whatever, or you can let them race with everybody else. It depends on how you want. But like I said, the insurance company I use, which is Linda's saying that it's Maria LaCory, right? Yeah, the same company that I've used the same insurance company for years. They, their policy is 12 to 17 for a youth team. And then any 15-year-old and up can be on adult teams. But that has been one of those tricky things that, I mean, Decatur does a great job of recruiting high school teams, but a lot of people have a hard time
I
getting
know
the
why.
youth involved. Why?
Decatur, they go out and they get the sponsor.
Oh, that's right.
Sponsors don't wanna
Because you
be
can't
there.
pay, you can't get it paid for.
Right, so the
Yeah.
sponsor,
That's the
so
problem.
they're trying to get a
Youth-
sponsorship. out
young
of
people don't
a
wanna
wealthy
pay for that.
individual, and they're like,
Can't pay for
"Well,
that.
I'm not sure I really want to do this, and they're like, would you sponsor a high school team?" So instead of getting a sponsor, they're like, all right, well, I'll pay for a couple of high school teams. So there are individuals in the community have really nothing to do with the Dragon Boat race, but they just give the money to the local high school,
For
and
them to
the high school
participate.
does the team.
Mhm.
And the high school figure out how they want to do it. They do like the baseball team mixed up with the
Yeah.
softball team. West Morgan High did a lottery to
Mhm.
where it was all walks of life, brainiacs, kids who are in trouble, athletes, everybody. I found out after the 5th year, their drummer was the same drummer, and she was actually the English teacher. I thought she like ran over the principal's toes, like got bailed. And find out she's actually a teacher. For 5 years, I had her in the boat. And oh, man, some of the things I said about administration to the kids in the boat, because it's always kind of private in the boat when you're out. on the
Yeah.
water.
What happens in the boat stays in the boat.
That's
That's
right.
what I say.
Sharon,
I have a question. Back to you mentioned about your insurance covers 12 to 17.
Yeah.
So from what I can recall, we as an organization got insurance, which I think is like a side waiver off our regular insurance. And then
Yeah.
that was sent to you for proof at a certain date. So
Yeah.
that's telling me I need to check with that source to see what their
Yeah,
ages are.
to make
That's
sure
what I'm
that you're
hearing.
within the
Okay.
parameters. Yeah,
Making
just to
sure
make
I got it
sure that
right.
they're good with that, because if you use a different insurance company, I would definitely,
I don't know the name of the insurance. That's why I'm asking that.
yeah, I would
Your
definitely
insurance
check.
Covers what?
Our insurance covers basically our equipment,
Mhm.
and we can do things like clinics and things like that with it. I think it's a little gray area about whether or not it covers each and every event. I think to a certain degree it does, but I definitely have our clients also get insurance just because
It should
it's,
have like a-
yeah, because it's just, and have us and your venue as a rider, just
Mm-hmm.
because it just covers all of us and
Or you know,
everything.
If somebody fell out of the boat. or
Right,
got hurt,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's have our own.
We all have insurance, basically.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
you can't
yeah,
do it, but-
yeah. You
And
ca-
you know what's so funny when we were talking about youth?
Yeah, that's another insurance. That's a whole other insurance thing. Yeah, that's a whole other insurance thing.
Linda,
The board member who's trying to recruit the youth teams has gone to the cadets, a couple of their parents, and said, we want to have them paddling this year as a team. She did it last year so that the parents could come out and see what was going on. And they don't want their kids in the boat. They don't mind that they load them and they're out there in the water and all, but it's just some of the parents,
Some of the parents, yeah.
just some of the parents. It's
Oh.
an IUC. It's
I
just-
I should point out a parent or a guardian type person has to sign the waiver for those children.
Under 17.
Under
they do.
17, yeah,
Understand.
yeah, minors. Mhm.
That's kind of funny
Huh.
though, because they're like in ROTC, so you know, I mean.
Yeah.
They're handling
Yeah.
guns, right?
And it's a Navy ROTC too, which is,
Yeah.
anyway.
Wow.
That's interesting.
It is, but we're gonna see what we can do.
You see, but don't want them in the road, that's.
So now I've had a lot of parents, like my teenage boy wants to get in, you know, and as long as they sign for it, but I'm thinking we would probably have enough to get some youth, but the problem's gonna be paying for it. They'd have to
Yeah.
get sponsored.
Yeah, yeah. If you can get a one big sponsor or whatever, and maybe it's a sponsor that can't fill a boat.
Well,
They,
you know, we
or,
had that last year,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
asked the company who
Mhm.
already paid for their boat, do you mind if we fill it? And they did not want us to fill it.
Really?
They just let, no, they
wow,
didn't, want-
maybe they're worried about liability of some
maybe
sort.
so.
Huh.
So,
Interesting. It would be really nice to get like a sponsor that is targeting youth as, you know,
Mhm.
like a, you know,
A YMCA or. a
yeah, some
village or
something, yeah, something that's, you know, trying to think of,
Well, any of your skateboard companies.
yeah, right.
For sure. I'm with it too.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be really good
Your
to get.
paddleboard companies, your skateboard companies, all of that.
Mhm.
Go see Bobby Neighbors.
Mhm.
He does all the skateboarding.
Yeah, somebody that's wanting to target youth as a,
mhm.
And lots of money,
yeah, and has the
Yeah.
a
money,
little bit of money.
that's for sure.
All your soda companies do.
I was thinking Coca-Cola,
Yeah,
my
Coca-Cola.
first thought was Coke, because Coca-Cola does sponsor here.
They do, and they're great to us. They give us a trailer to sell cokes and waters out of, and they donate all the
Product.
drinks. And, yeah, the
That's the advantage of living in a smaller town.
Right, and then, so they put a vote in for the first time last year and had a blast, and they're trying to get 2 other locations of Coke to participate.
Great.
So,
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, I know, churches to get a youth, to
Mhm.
sponsor a youth team,
Yes.
get their youth groups or whatever involved. That
Yeah.
would be ideal. Cause number one, they have the money, and number two, they have the youth.
Mhm.
That church group that uses our building every weekend and makes.
Oh, there you go. Oh, do they? That's funny. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, cool. What else? What else can we talk about before the our lunch break here? So what else do we have on our timeline here? Because I definitely want the Kathy and Peggy to kind of get an idea of what they're getting themselves into.
We were just, it's really running through my head about the 2-day event rather than a 1-day event. It really just hit me. Because the teams are gonna be out there practicing and if dad's in it, the
Yeah.
kids wanna come watch dad and
Yeah.
mama. And everybody's out there. If we had something else going on and practices going on and doing that, I just really see that. Is anybody doing that or are they just doing the race day?
When I was seeing a lot of families come out, like in Little Rock, the kids are hanging out in the park because it is a park, so one of the parents can be there, or they have several parents that are paddling, or they have one person on shore kind of babysitting, but
I think there's several of them that do the
depends on
Friday,
your
the 2-day event.
Yeah,
That's what she was
Mhm.
asking.
yeah, there's a fair amount of people who do.
Our second year, Shay recruited a Girl Scout troop and had a 2 tables. And it was like arts and crafts, whatever you want, for the kids who were
Yeah.
on the, that weren't paddling. The
Yeah.
parents were there.
Face painting and all that.
Yeah, all that. It was a project for the Girl Scout troop to do.
Huh.
We haven't done it since then, but we did do it that year.
You've seen a lot of the scouts, the Boy Scouts come in and help out, like with cleanup after the day or on docks. What Tennessee Clean Water got in Memphis, the scouts come down and run docks. They did a pretty good job. They were also responsible for filling the water pitchers all day long because they were trying to get away from using bottles.
Oh,
It gave you part of your team package was a whole bunch of aluminum water bottles where you can constantly refill.
Yeah.
So one of her things about Tennessee Clean Water is, throwing these things away is dangerous, hazardous to the environment. But if you're reusing this one water bottle, and then she did the stats as one of the yard signs. And then they were talking about water pollution and stuff like that, so. It was kind of interesting. But
Yeah, you want to definitely tie in your charity to the event for sure. One of the things I forgot to mention about when we were talking about Little Rock's event and how big it is, one of the sort of incentives to get people to pledge that they do, that gets people, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, it gets them more motivated to pledge a little bit and to get in that top 4. So they're looking to get in the top 4 fundraiser in Little Rock, and they let the top 4 do their own fundraising race. It's like an exhibition, like at the lunch break between the rounds. And it's a very short race. It's not the same distance as the regular race. And some of those teams like really want to get in that fundraising race. And I don't know it
too during practice.
Yeah, they practice it. Yeah, I had one team one year.
So they know, obviously they know ahead of time.
They know
it. Who is in that.
They know that day, that morning. I don't even know until that morning who it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because she gives them a deadline, and it's like, yeah, we do it at the lunch break. And I had one team that was like, they were, I steered for them in the morning, and they were a competitive team, and they were going to make it to the finals. And I said, now, well, I got them out there for the fundraising race and steered for them. And I said, now don't blow all your energy on this race, because you're going to make it to the finals. And they, like, the team captain turned around and looked at me, and he goes, we've got the trophy paddle every year for this fundraising race. We're winning this race. Oh yeah.
So it
And
was-
they,
yeah.
and it was, yeah, because it meant something. And so that's the thing, you've got to find what it is that means something to people
And
to,
you never know until you do, you see what really fits.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
everybody's so different.
Right.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So exactly, everybody's different, and it may not, and we do the fundraising race, I think, maybe at 1 or 2 other places. I know Little Rock does it.
And so
For your events.
you call it the fundraising
Maybe.
race because
Maybe.
they're raising the pledge money ahead of time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And the
So-
top 4.
Yeah, so you're
Get to
keeping like
participate.
the on the charity web or whatever it is you're using, you're keeping the total.
Out to them, the
Yeah.
top 4 fundraisers. So if
Yeah.
you want to be in this very special
race.
And that's a
Right.
nice little motivation. I
Yeah,
think.
Yeah.
just telling them right
Yeah.
off the bat. that
Yeah,
this is
they get to
happening.
do
Your
something
little
everybody
bullet
else-
Points that go down.
Chattanooga, that's where we did it. We used to do it in Chattanooga, that's right. Might be doing it this year too. We might be, yeah. So that gives them incentive to, to do the fundraising part. So because you kind of, and you can do the prizes thing too, you can do, if you can get, especially if you can get prizes donated, but usually you want prizes that like for the whole team in that
Mhm.
regard, like everybody, the whole team gets,
A medal
yeah,
whatever.
or lunch at something, or you know what I mean,
Yeah.
something. So you do have to incentivize a little bit with the pledges,
Well,
I
you
think.
know, an award, they're gonna win one.
Yeah.
They won an award.
Right.
They're gonna
They
have
got that
something to
bragging
turn
rights.
back. Absolutely.
Yeah.
bragging
And when,
rights.
and in Little Rock, when they decorate, their tent decoration is a big deal in Little Rock. It's huge, huge deal. I have to try to find some pictures because
We had a
it's,
few cute ones.
Yeah,
that's
you
new
did.
to us.
You did.
Decoration of-
And they put their trophies.
Put on the different tents and the different designs or something.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
some
that's
of the
definitely
awards
something
that
you
they
wanna
have
do.
going
Yeah.
out, Where they have the best team name, the best tent decor,
Best
but-
t-shirt.
best t-shirt, but
Mm-hmm.
at Little Rock, they do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, of all.
All the categories.
So, right, so it's just not one,
Oh, wow.
but
We don't do it that big.
it's such a
That's
large
a
event,
lot.
so.
Right.
they've
Yeah,
been able to
they're-
get
Yeah,
lot of-
it's a large event.
$300,000, so they got.
Yeah, they're making a lot of money. Yeah.
Well, we do the best dressed drummer.
Right,
Oh, well, we do the best drummer or the most enthusiastic drummer or something.
Yeah, yeah.
well, so some of the charities do, how you pick the best drummer is they have a jar. Like,
That's what we do.
chorus has to go around and they kind of shake their booty with their jar and go around. And they try to raise as much money. I mean, they're coming up to, and the teams typically are like dressed up to what their team names are.
Yeah.
We've seen like the Star Row Warriors, Paddle Stars, Inglorious Paddlers.
Inglorious Bastards, Bastors.
Or we have the mafia. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of dressed up.
These are
to match their team names, so. We've seen Where Waldo.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's,
Those are pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then some people just don't care about dressing up. They think it's too.
No, I
Not
always
like
gonna
on
make
the TA.
t-shirts or,
Yeah.
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 We
One
met,
year we did May the 4th was on a race day one year and they did a lot of Star Wars stuff.
Right.
What were you gonna say, Linda?
oh, we raise about $1,300 with our
Drummer.
And and we're a very small event.
Yeah,
15 or
tell
16.
them, explain to them what you're talking about.
How'd you do that?
Well, what we do is we have at lunch break, we have a best dressed drummer contest. Every one of the drummers comes up and they get a little bucket. I give them a bucket and we give them, I think it's like 10, 15 minutes that they go around in the crowd and whoever raises the most money, usually that person, the drummer gets a prize. Last year it was tickets to the Braves game. One year it was a basket of different things that were donated. But that is our one of our best fundraisers. We have a team that is called the U Harley Mafia. And Mom Barker is the one who sits up in the front. She's the drummer, and she had a play rifle, play gun, machine gun. That's what it was, a plastic machine gun. The first year or second year, and finally the city realized what she had and told her she couldn't have it anymore. But anyway, it's a good it's a good fun conversation. It gets everybody enthused.
Yeah, it does. And that, people, I think it's kind of like Mardi Gras around here. People love used to dress up.
Yeah.
And get into the.
Oh, yes.
And get into the
These are also
character
great ideas.
characters.
Yeah.
It's like a character thing. Yeah.
Well, I think that the more you either come to these kind of conferences or the more festivals you go to, you see all these things and you decide which ones will work for you. Right now, I don't know, did we do a bidding on Sears Persons last year? I don't remember if we did or not. My community, I don't think so, because I don't think my community is ready for it.
Yeah.
They're more small, they're more small change.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You're in that small
But even if it raised an extra $1,000, that's an extra
Well, that's
$1,000.
true.
Then-
That's
Yeah,
true.
than what you had.
Expect them to pay on the spot. We invoice them. They pay, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. You don't need the money today. We're not gonna
No.
Right
take your
now,
credit card
yeah,
today.
exactly.
Don't worry
Right,
about it.
right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can spend money faster if you're not paying for it at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up.
And the more they drink, the more they, the more they're willing to,
We
yeah.
don't allow our teams to bring alcohol in at all.
Right.
They can bring waters. We try to discourage bringing food because we're gonna have food out there to buy. But like I said, our venue, they donate it to us. That's the only money they make is off the bar. So
Yeah.
that's what we.
Our hard part is a nonprofit and a kids organization. It's hard to get alcohol coverage.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
imagine.
She okay?
And I don't
Yeah.
think we
Okay.
would, sorry.
She called me too, but I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, I think.
Obviously.
It was about Lynn, so.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
wondering,
it's
I was wondering
wrong.
about that. Okay, sorry. We had, one of our staffers was calling us right in the middle of, in the middle, one of the steerers, yeah, pretty funny. So, I think this might be a great time for us to break and get lunch. So if I'm sure it's 12:30 almost, Eastern time, so I know you guys gotta be hungry. So, I think we'll take a
We're not
break
Eastern time,
and,
we're Central.
I know, but about 3 or 4, about three people on, three people on the call are on Eastern time, so I'm sure they're hungry. And I know a couple things I definitely want to talk to after the break are, that Birmingham, Christy, hi Christy, whenever you see this recording, she wants us to talk about how to get teams and how that process works and how to get them to fundraise. So after the break, we'll tackle those topics and get onto that. And but now let's take, I don't know, however long, let's see. We need some time to actually put our lunches together here. Maybe 30-40 minutes, and then let's see, it'll be 12 o'clock our time and about 1. We'll try to get this going again about 12 o'clock our time and 1 o'clock Eastern time. How's that sound? And I'll put this thing on pause and mute myself so that y'all don't hear what all we're talking about and during our lunch. All right, see you guys in a little bit. Enjoy your lunches. Oh, whoops, I forgot to hit record after lunch. I'm sorry. Whoops.
We have notes.
We have notes, so
We'll have to read those.
Half of recording is better than none.
yeah. I forgot to hit record after the lunch break. Whoops.
And you did get my email from the chat, correct?
I
Okay.
do. I have your email. Yes. Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I forgot to hit record after the lunch break, but we do have notes and I will type up the meeting minutes, from the notes. And then that way, whatever anybody missed after the lunch break, it'll be on the meeting notes. I'm sorry about that. And I will email that out to everybody. And, if anybody has any questions in the meantime or needs anything from us, you have our contact information. Feel free to get in touch, and
This is blast at it.
thank you all for your time and attention and participation today.
Nice to meet everybody.
When is your race?
August 26th.
August 26th.
That's
Okay.
my race.
That's what she's
Yeah,
asking.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She asked.
I heard part. Like, that's my day.
My family and
Peggy has family up there.
Perfect. Excellent.
She needs to come see us.
August 26th.
Right. It's a Saturday,
Okay. That's- All right,
right around the corner.
Yeah, he'll be here before we know it. All of them will be.
that may be too close to ours.
Yeah.
Well,
Could
Yeah,
be.
that's
Yeah.
August 26th, but. it's
Yeah, it's
2
gonna
weeks
be.
out from
Yeah.
now.
Mhm. All right. Thank
Right,
you.
thank you.
Have a great rest of the day.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.